There can be only one.
Go, Trig boy. It's your birthday.
Seriously, subscribe. Are you guys ready to get out of the Matrix? Let's go.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
The Texas court system works, and I trust the Texas court system will work in this case.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pissed Off Parent Show. I have special guests tonight, Dr. Brooks McKenzie and Downtown Eddie Brown. I just realized that rhymed. You know what?
Oh, how convenient. People will remember it then.
Yeah, I've seen it a number of times, and I just went, that rhymed. Awesome. Okay, sorry. Pulling everybody away here. Well, good evening, everybody. I have, again, special guests here tonight. We're going to be talking quite a bit about the Tarrant County comings and goings in the judicial arena and all that. And we have, two experts in the area. Unfortunately, well, they don't want to be experts in the area, but they are. No one signed up to want to learn this stuff, but
no one signs up for this job.
But here we are. I figured we'll go ahead and we tossed a coin, and Brooks lost, so he gets to go first. So Brooks, what's going on? What's happening in good old Tarrant County?
Oh, well. So most people know that I go around and I speak, and I try to speak truth to what we're doing to our kids and our children, families, state, to the deep. Arm's not broken; it's working perfectly. It is working exactly the way they designed it. But tie it in, because most people don't understand all this. But in Tarrant County specifically, that's what launched me into this. 2000. Gosh, I don't know, late 19, early 20, Associate Judge Kate Stone sat there and I violated your civil rights. What are you going to do about it? No one's going to do anything. You'll never get a favor. What are you going to do about it? So this Kate Stone, hi Kate, this is what I do about it. This is what I've been doing years. And so in January, I believe, I have what I call my coming out party. And so I spoke at ETP through Texas Tarrant County, and I came out about my personal case. It's the first time I ever talked about my personal case on this, because it's in Tarrant County, in the 233rd, with Judge No and all the corruption. Okay. So I've just lit them on fire. 2 days after that, there was a motion put in to have a hearing to hold of court. So I speak on the 9th. 11th, Attorney General Worth files a motion to have me jailed for contempt of court. That's ironic and very coincidental.
That's a big
and
coincidence.
So,
okay.
The funny thing is, it appears as if, I don't know yet exact documents, but it appears as if the Office of the Attorney General in Austin, who had just previously sent me a letter saying, don't worry about paying right now. We're reworking a bunch of stuff. We'll have a hearing. Something's wrong. So the Austin apparently didn't know that the Fort Worth Attorney General was trying to throw me in jail, I'm guessing, for speaking in Fort Worth.
Okay.
So I decided to remove my case to federal court, which is my right and completely legal. And once a case is removed to federal court, a state court has no jurisdiction. They don't have any jurisdiction. They've got as much power as the Lucky Dog guy on Bourbon Street in New Orleans to make any rules.
Okay.
They have none. So I removed my case prior to the hearing they set where they were going to try to jail me. Oh, they were going to try to jail me indefinitely also, which is kind of ironic and I believe absolutely illegal. Right. But I removed my case. Well, the Attorney General, the courts, and everybody decided, well, screw it. We don't care. So they went ahead and had a hearing, apparently. Days later, had people come in and sign statements and requested a warrant, and they issued a capious warrant for not up, even though every single person knew it was removed to federal court. Every single person had been notified. It had been uploaded into the case file. Everyone knew. But they decided to just say, you know what, screw it. Lock him up and shut him up. We don't care if federal law says we can't do this. So I am currently at a wonderful residence, a wonderful vacation home at an undisclosed location until this warrant gets lifted. Because I've had a warrant out for me for over a month. The federal court, there's a motion to quash there. And then immediately after I did that, the state Attorney General issued a motion to rescind the warrant. So they want it back now. We've broken federal law. We want it back now. But apparently nobody wants to take it back because my judge actually signed that warrant, even though when they were asked, I believe, by some public people what's going on, they didn't sign the warrant. So nobody wants their name on it. Nobody wants it done. Nobody wants to clean it up. And they are all in a hot steaming pile of mess because of the overt black and white violation of federal law. So hiding, but it's kind of a titillating hiding. The longer I give them the things they do that just can't be ignored by the federals.
So can't you go to the DA? Is there anything the DA could do?
So I'm actually compiling a list of criminal complaints because complaining in the family court will do nothing. So I'm taking the criminal complaints, I'm going to take them to the sheriff's office and to the DA. I'm also going to let them both know that I'm fully aware of the possibility and how to recall a public official if they refuse to do their job. And I'm going to hand them off to them. And I'm also going to try to bring other parents to do the exact same thing. So we'll just go en masse and do it. Because it's time for them to start investigating those crimes. The issue is, if I show up, they're going to arrest me. And then it's impossible to answer any stuff, and then they'll say I didn't respond, and they'll throw it out. But I've had people even request public records to do with my case, and they were told that I needed to show up in person and ask for them, that they couldn't release these public records that anybody can get. So it's just been a really screwy, interesting thing. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the courthouse.
And I'll add, I reached out to Judge Newell. We did a brief summary of this in an article that was very, very widely shared. And Newell, through his spokesperson, said he did not sign the warrant. And Brooks, can you elaborate a little bit more on why you believe that's not a true statement?
One of the odd things in my case is that so I'm pro se. I should be treated as an attorney, but I also have special pro se rights and all this stuff. Meaning that when they file something, I should be getting served. And on e-file, it's easy. You just click the button and it serves everybody. Well, there's been multiple things filed, and I know this from seeing screenshots of the docket, that I never got copies of. I've never been conferenced. They've never reached out. They've never tried to talk to me, not once. Actually, a criminal violation and a civil code violation. So, but on these papers, no one's name is typed. There's just a scrawled signature, and there's no one's name. So I'm calling around, whose unreadable signature is this? And after Eddie and some other people had talked to me, I called and spoke with the county clerk and asked whose name is on that. And she said, Judge Newell signed the warrant for your arrest, but he's denying
Which makes sense.
that he did. So he's basically openly lying about an official act of his public position because he doesn't want to be caught up in what's about to come. But me and Kenny and Kate have to dance a dance over the next couple of years because they've crossed the line that I do believe allows me to bring a separate federal lawsuit in which judges do not enjoy immunity. So we're going to get to be really good friends. I'm going to be showing up at their camp fundraisers and all kinds of stuff to support them in the near future.
Yeah, it's interesting because wasn't there a bill filed to give people in that capacity immunity across the board? Or do they already have that? I'm trying to remember
which people?
The judges.
Judges already have. Yeah,
they already have.
Judges.
Okay.
Judges already have absolute immunity, but it only covers what's called judicial acts, not administrative acts. And a judicial act is something only a judge can do in a judicial capacity. So like making rulings, things from the bench. And they've perverted it over the years to basically saying if a judge has their foot in the courtroom, they're acting as a judge. I mean, they've abused the hell out of it. But when a judge loses jurisdiction, i.e. a federal removal, you no longer can do this. And Rustin Wright's got a great case for this too. There's going to be a bunch of people losing their retirements over his state. But when it's removed, a judge has no jurisdiction, so they have no immunity because you got to have jurisdiction to have that immunity. Right. And there's another case in the federal courts right now by a man who's an amazing pro se. So he's suing for almost the exact same thing. And a federal district court said, nope, judges have immunity and kicked it. So he took it to the federal appellate court and they said, no, they don't have immunity when they don't have jurisdiction, and sent it back to the federal district court and said, you need to let this proceed. So I'm literally going to use that as a template for going after Stone, Newell, whichever Title 40 judge, and anyone else, anyone after April 17th who did anything to facilitate moving this forward is in violation of conspiracy, federal law, you name it, I mean, there's a bunch of them. So yeah, I'm just about to have a house party for about half of Tarrant County.
And even just more generally, you don't work and they're jailing you for not paying child support. I mean, that also sounds like official oppression, right? They don't have a lawful reason to.
So they're supposed to have what's called an ability to pay hearing, and they frequently violate this, and often with lower socioeconomic people, so uneducated. The people who need the most help are the ones that are so you're supposed to have an ability to pay hearing, and they have to show that you have the ability to pay to find you guilty. Being broke is not a crime. So they'll use all these tactics like, imputed income, or you could have if you, but it still doesn't hold up. So we never had an ability to pay hearing, right? They actually sent me a letter before I spoke in January saying, yeah, we need to have one because, we need to adjust some stuff because we don't expect you to pay anything right now. And then after January, all of a sudden they're coming after me to lock me up. But yeah, so there's supposed to be a process, and you're supposed to be assigned a public defender because they're trying to jail you. And a lot of these guys that show up and they say, nope, jail, boom. They don't give them an ability to pay hearing. They don't give them a public. They just roll them through because every time you lock someone up, now what have I done as the Attorney General? I've just engaged in enforcement, which I get to get reimbursed 66 cents on the dollar. And so my whole day, so I don't want to tell you no, because if you're fine, don't worry about it, because I'm not enforcing anything. So I want to lock you up because I actually get paid for locking you up. And it's a way of just beating down the opponent. If you really are fighting this, there's so many ways to just break it off in the other parent that they literally financially, emotionally, physically, whatever, cannot fight, because they can take your license, your ability to get a business license, your registration for your car. They can basically make so you would pretty much have, that's me, homeless. You basically have to be homeless with nothing to lose in order to fight. And lucky for them, that's exactly where I am in my life. I have nothing other than my son that I value, and that is the only thing that drives me. There's nothing they can do or take from me that will cause me any pain. So I'm a man with nothing left to lose, and so I'm super excited about the quality time Newell, Stone, and the rest of them are going to get to spend with me over the next couple of years. It's going to be beautiful.
Now you
Kumbaya.
mentioned that you have a warrant up for. Again, I'm learning all this right now live.
Yeah.
All right, so that explains the encrypted transmission, and Eddie and I have no clue where you're at. You know, so I mean, you're incognito. There's no idea. So okay, just wanted to make sure that everyone's on the same page there. So we have that. Okay, so. You've got that. Well, I hate to ask, what else is happening?
Actually, that is just a fraction of. But no. So that's So obviously, I can't go around and speak because it's advertised, and they could just simply show up.
Right.
And quite honestly, the biggest danger is probably driving 4 hours to speak and then missing a stop sign or getting in a minor fender bender, and then I'm going to jail.
Right. I mean, you could get drunk and then go ahead and pass laws.
Yeah, and vote on laws. That would be cool.
I mean, that might be a thing to do.
Oh gosh.
Okay, it took Eddie a second there to figure out where I was going with that.
I follow. I got it now.
I've been having like Jennifer Lundy from Texans for Judicial Accountability has been covering some of my speaking events. Others I just and a lot of the people that I know well know what's going on with me. Most people don't, just because I don't advertise my stuff. But yeah, I'm basically in hiding until they're forced to remove this warrant, and then I'm going to have I haven't decided yet. It's either going to be the Outlaw Tour or the Coming Out Tour. I'm not sure which one I've decided on, but I'm basically going to go around and just load it up in Tarrant County, Collin County, all the surrounding counties. I am going to make Newell and Stone so toxic politically that they would be lucky to be a DWI attorney if they still have their license when I'm done. That is my sole purpose in life. That's it.
Maybe we could have Pink do the show when it comes out. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember. I'm coming out.
Yeah.
So let's get the party started. Maybe have Pink do that. No, she's a controversial person in certain conservative areas, but hey, her song was popular and it could work there. Wow. So you got a lot going on.
Yeah, trying to learn, decades of federal law in a matter of weeks so I can write this stuff. Because,
so I guess what's next? I mean, it's getting moved to federal court.
It's been removed to federal court. They'll do everything they can to get it remanded, so sent back to state court, so the state can go ahead and try to railroad me like they have. But because of what they've done, I now have standing to sue the judges in a completely separate suit. Right. So now we will be doing that, but it'll be the judges, it'll be the attorneys, it'll be and it is everyone who got paid money and my spouse to step into this courtroom and perpetuate fraud. They're all guilty of the conspiracy, and they can all be named in this lawsuit, and they will all have to get representation, all have to answer this lawsuit. Lawsuit won't get remanded because it's not a removal thing, and we know it's already made this type of lawsuits already made it past the federal court of appeals. So I think we're pretty good. So Dr. Brooks is about to just make everybody's life chaos. And again, with the criminal stuff and the sheriff and the DA, and I've already spoken to some very politically active people who aren't huge fans of either of them, and have agreed to sit down with me and discuss a recall if they don't start prosecuting family court crimes. So that's why I'm also going to get more people to report them. So we either have a bunch getting investigated or a bunch being ignored, and we can go ahead with a recall.
Yeah, if only we had a DA that who would have got elected that would have pursued those things. It would have been something else. So all this is over the fact that you just want to be in your kid's life. That all this is because you dared as a dad to be in your kid's life. Is that accurate? Oh, I think I froze him up.
Because I didn't go along with the game. Am I still frozen?
Okay. Nope, you're good. Yeah.
So
you're good now.
If I don't go along with the game, then you will experience this.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right. Okay. Well, Ed, I don't know if you have you followed that?
Well, I have. Yeah, I've been in touch with Brooks,
Top that.
He has shared. No, that's why I had Brooks go first, because I was like, I cannot top this guy. He needs to go. He needs to lead the show, and I will do my best to follow. But Brooks has sent me all his documents, all his court filings. I've reviewed it very closely, and it's so straightforward. The way it was filed in district court, and then he notified, I should say in federal court. I apologize. It's filed in federal court, and then he notified Newell's court, and then the timeline's very clear. And then they still held the hearing. I mean, they're gonna have a really hard time explaining why they did that. So.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Ed? I mean, what do you got going on?
I want to talk about the 231st court. I'll talk briefly about my case, but actually, I really want to talk about some other parents because this whole, I think, what started when I kind of gave my account of my interaction with Jesse Navarez. A lot of people started reaching out to me. And by this point, we have over a dozen parents, some who are actively feeding us information, some who are going to very soon, some who are working behind the scenes, in kind of a slow, a slow crescendo to get this stuff out. But the most recent story that we've published is about Becca Montgomery.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want to summarize her story. It's 231st, and she had a lot of similarities in her court interactions that I did. I thought, so again, we're finding a pattern, and I'm sure it's, I'm sure other courts have this, but I know the 231st very well. So Becca Montgomery, this all started with the dad saying that the ex-husband saying that the son wasn't making as good grades as he wanted.
Okay.
Boy, he wasn't failing, but he wasn't making A's. And even, Becca, has acknowledged that he was struggling a little bit. And that was the whole basis for starting litigation. And from there, we've documented and reported on some just really absurd things that have happened in this court that are quite mind-boggling. She early on went public about, why am I having to, defend my parental rights? When it's not neglect, it's not abuse, it's just my son's having a hard time in school.
Yeah.
And then the associate judge, Kevin Schmidt, and I've reviewed all these documents, issued a gag order.
No Schmidt?
That banned her. Kevin Schmidt?
No Schmidt?
Associate? What?
You said he issued a gag order. I said no Schmidt?
You're saying no, like as in no shit. Right?
Okay, Brooks.
Yes,
okay.
Schmidt. Yes, very much Schmidt. And so there was retaliation just because she had put some Google reviews on the 231st and did an online petition. And then in late April, there was a hearing and we reviewed this order, and Jesse Navarra said she was present at the hearing and called present or whatever they say. And Becca was not even in Texas. So
Okay.
she's collecting affidavits from a lot of people who were with her that day, not in Texas,
Right.
And she even, collected, open records video footage of the entrance to the court, Tarrant County Family Law Center, just to show that, I never entered the building. So that kind of fraudulent document. And I want to just, quickly mention on my story, and I've been successful as so far as a pro se defendant, keeping Jesse from booting my son's case to Ohio as a favor to my ex-wife. But in that order that his justification for attempting to relinquish jurisdiction over my case, he said my son had no relatives in Texas. It's a finding of the court that my son has no relations, and he has a lot of family and friends in Texas. And these kind of lies are just so absurd. It's not like you could just, if someone's not in the court, you can't say they're there, right? If a kid has family in a state, you can't just say the kid has no, these are just unfounded. So anyway, continue with Becca's story. We found that that there was that fraudulent document, and basically she's getting railroaded right now. So I've talked to her extensively. She has all her court documents are we've reviewed them. there's nothing about this mother that shows she's an unfit parent at all.
Yeah.
Somehow her opposing counsel has found a way to just get very close to terminating her parental rights with absolutely no evidence of wrongdoing on her part. And what also in May, I apologize, in late April, that hearing where she was present was to order her to undergo mediation. And the reason they did that, I believe, is because local rules say you have to attempt mediation before you can have a final trial.
Right.
So that was just a show. Like they did that to say, well, we tried mediation and it didn't work. Right. I mean, that's that would be my theory.
It's like send me to fat camp. Yeah. I mean,
how did that go?
You're looking at it.
Did you get a refund? Did you get a refund?
I need a refund, big time. Yeah.
And then they schedule the final trial weeks later. I mean, so who has time to prepare for a final trial with a few weeks, right? This case is just so absurd because Becca's ex-husband basically has been booking almost every day at the 231st. The law firm has had free reign to continually schedule last-minute hearings and motions trying to terminate this poor mother's parental rights at a time when this court is incredibly backed up, right? So the 231st, I did a Rule 12 request. It is booked up more than 2 years into the future.
Was that before
so there
or
are
after
people,
the party?
After Newell's?
Yeah. Was it after or before? Did you check and see if it was before the party that they had where they cleared out the entire...
that's Newell's court, though, yeah.
Oh, okay, different.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's,
That's okay.
separate. Okay. And actually, can I ask, and again, no pressure to answer, but can I ask what law firm we're talking about here?
I will look it up while we're talking.
All right. I'm willing to bet I probably know which one. I probably know which one it is.
It's a big one.
It rhymes with Moons.
You know, it's not Coons Fuller.
It's not. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's not Coons.
You know what? I was going to lay some.
But a lot of these firms operate very similarly. Okay. Well, she said it, not me.
Okay.
I don't know.
I agree with her. It's a little easier when someone else says it.
Yeah.
I say
so. Anyway, this court, Brooks says it.
Okay. Yep.
I'm not refuting that. So this court, there are people who are waiting 2 years. I mean, because there are final trials scheduled 2 years out, and this firm is basically booking every day, sometimes the entire day. And so anyway, what Becca's done, with the help of some like-minded, court reform-minded parents who have helped me as well, and I really like people like Brooks, people like who are like all of us, who are working together and saying, here's what you need to file. Here's how you can defend yourself. Here's how X, Y, and Z. We're all networked now, which is a blessing. She has demanded that Jesse be recused.
Okay.
And I'll probably read some of that. I'll probably read some of that document later. I meant to print that out. And they kept trying to schedule things. And so we kind of saw this pattern. Brooks, you saw this pattern where you asked for Newell to recuse himself, and he kept trying to hold hearings, right? So this happens.
Yeah. In rule under the 18B and 18A and 18B is where you can find the overview of the recusal stuff. So in Texas, when you file a recusal on a judge, you can either file it in paper, or you can stand up and say, Dwayne, recuse yourself because I don't think I can get a fair trial. And at that point, that moment right there, they can't do anything. People can file stuff and put motions in, but no, they can't hear anything. That the court cannot do anything as far as that goes. But in my case, when I got the reams of stuff on Newell and Stone, I asked them to recuse, and actually that was one of the times that Stone laughed. That's when she admitted to violating my constitutional rights, and she also said that she talked to Newell about my case extensively, and I'd never get a hearing ruled in my favor ever. So good luck with that, is what she said on the recusal. But when
is that on video?
Of course not, because it was a Zoom hearing, but this was long before I know what I. know. I do have
okay.
notarized witness statements from witnesses who were online who heard her say those exact words. So I have the witnesses for it, and
Okay.
that's illegal. So I
Yeah.
put in the recusal, and by the rules, once that recusal is in, they have 20 days to give you a hearing unless they extend
Right.
it. Well, my hearing wasn't within 20 days. But another rule is that the court can do nothing until the hearing is decided, until it's
Right.
ruled on. Well, during the recusal, Judge Newell continued to set hearings while the recusal was pending. I called his court
Same with
coordinator, and of course,
Jesse,
I record all phone calls. So I have his court coordinator saying, yes, he's doing this. Yes, I know it's illegal. But he said he's not going to stop unless someone makes him. And so I had to call Judge Evans and speak to his lady, Tracy Kemp. Recorded that phone call. They explained what was happening out of her mouth. That's illegal. Can't do that. I know that. Maybe you want to let him know that. And so, so this is the same judge who will just do whatever the hell he wants because he doesn't believe there'll ever be repercussions.
Right.
But I am the sweet delivery mail person of repercussions. I've got a pocket full of them, and I've been looking for them. And someday we're going to catch up, and I'm going to hand them, and it's most likely going to be in the form of a federal lawsuit.
Well, I'm glad we're talking because we see similar things in different courts. And I'm sure it's happening in other Tarrant County courts and Texas courts as well. And Jesse kept trying to, actually, I shouldn't say that. I know the attorneys kept trying to file motions after the recusal, and then Becca had to just remind them that nothing's going to happen until David Evans rules on this. Also, Brooks, I got a question. So after that, Kevin Schmidt tried to schedule a hearing. Actually, he held a hearing yesterday or this morning. I'm losing track of time. But is that allowable? If the elected judge, if you've asked them to recuse himself, can the associate judge continue to do the dirty work?
No, you're basically recusing the court.
The court.
I mean, that's what the power structure is associate judges in Texas are appointed. They're supposed to be appointed by a board of judges. They're all supposed to, but it's not how it happens. Newell hired Stone because he's had a crush on her since law school. The whole courthouse talks about her in not glowing terms, but the whole fact that she has that job because he wants to sleep with her. I have a spouse from the SCJC who confirmed this with me. They know it down there, and when I talk my complaints they say they'll never do anything to him, he'll never do anything to her. Everybody knows the only reason she has that job is because he wants to get in her pants. And I'm like, but he's married and has kids. And he espouses to be a Christian. So that's one of the reasons I also just have if he runs around and talks about God this and God that, how he counsels families. It's not even close.
I know he does that a lot. Yeah, he does a lot of photos in churches. I'm a man of God kind of stuff.
And the same thing is the grandmother who hides her crack dealing gangbanger serial killer grandson in the basement and lies to police and says he's a good boy and he's not here, and then goes to church and raises her hands and says,
"Not my boy."
Jesus. That's the kind of religion Newell has. What comes out of his mouth and what matches his actions are two completely different things. And the mere fact that he would lie to you about even issuing a warrant, something that you can easily find out, just shows how depraved he is that he can't even simply tell you the truth. And so we have this, but this is the system within which judges operate. This is it's like a frat house. They all operate the same way, because if they didn't, why aren't they getting locked up and removed? Who's everyone knows. So where's the judge that stands up and says, you know what? I don't want any part of this. These people are disgusting and vile, and I've documented it, and here you go. Everyone knows. And that's the thing is, when people say, is there a good judge or a bad judge? I'm like, I don't know how many other judges have they turned in. Because if you're working at a daycare and you're not turning in pedophiles, you're not a good daycare worker.
Right. If only we had a DA that would do their job.
Yeah, well, there's a good chance with a recall that someone might have another chance at a job. Who knows?
Okay.
I forgot one big thing about Becca's case I wanted to mention before we move on. So a temporary restraining order was issued by the associate judge. Did I tell that story?
Nope.
Okay, so this was in December. This is recently. She had court-ordered custody of her son, 14-year-old son, and the son or the father, one of the two things happened. The father asked the son to take photos, or the son did it. Anyway, the dad got a hold of photos of an empty-ish food cupboard. Immediately successfully got a temporary restraining order from Kevin Schmid. 1 second, let me turn this call off. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, I apologize. So anyway, was immediately given a temporary restraining order that he used, and I would say misused, to pick up the boy. Becca was at work. And so Becca, it was very clear, my house has food. The boy was not in danger of starving. This was a staged situation.
Right.
And, that's bad enough. Parents will make false accusations all the time. But for a judge to issue a temporary restraining order based on that, and I read the father's affidavit, and he had these very vague assertions. I feel like the son might be. It wasn't even like really clear what his concern was.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of really odd things happening in her case that seem to suggest that opposing counsel has a lot of influence in this court. For whatever reason, she's just not getting due process at all. So that's the last time she saw her son is December.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't there was no writ of attachment. There was nothing that authorized the dad to come to the house and take the boy during court-ordered custody. But he did that, and there's been no ramifications for that. And again, she hasn't seen her son. And you think about Beth Poles a couple weeks ago. There was a mother. I don't know if it was a mother or father, but a parent returned a child who was unconscious, like a baby that was unconscious. And the other parents asked, for a temporary restraining order. I mean, that seems like a pretty clear-cut case of child endangerment. But Beth Poles did not grant that TRO, but the 231st granted a TRO based on not enough food in the cupboard. And so I want to read this recusal, because this is 1.8 on the recusal. I'll just read it. Judge Navarez aided and abetted the interference with a lawful court order granting Movant visitation time with her son from December 16th to December 28th, 2022, by signing an order without allowing the Movant the due process right to participate and defend herself against the obviously baseless allegations by petitioner, I'll leave the name out, that the healthy 14-year-old boy was in danger. Petitioner's over-dramatization was easily proven when Movant's newly hired attorney dismantled petitioner while under oath in a court proceeding on February 17, 2023. So I guess at that time she had an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Judge Navarez made the unreasonable, biased, groundless, and damaging ruling merely on hearsay information that petitioner provided on an unauthenticated photograph of one small empty pantry drawer and an empty refrigerator that could have been taken by the petitioner himself inside his own home.
Yeah.
That's funny, because I was having lunch with someone today, and I told him that story, and he goes, "Well, was there no investigation? CPS? My friend was like, you could have had that photo could have been pulled off of the internet. Like, they don't do anything to look at this evidence, but they'll allow someone to pull your child from your home."
Yeah, did they pull a metadata? Because if you take a picture of something, it holds that metadata in, and you can at least get GPS information and at least find out. And yeah, you can Google it and get an empty cupboard or whatever. So, I mean, at the end of the day, she had her kid taken away from her because the kid was not doing well in school. I'm assuming it was a divorce situation. Is that, or were
I'm not sure where the timing is. It sounds like this was after their divorce. Kids started having grade issues. That's what initiated.
Shocker.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
Something so traumatic as a divorce or a breakup. Usually kids go one or two, routes. They either excel and go crazy because they, dive into school, or they go from, being a decent student to a crappy student. I mean, I've experienced that. My youngest, who's now 17, for years, he did horribly in school. And actually, I've had 100% custody of him for, the last year, 2 years now. And he's a straight A student now. Not going to say why that happened. Coincidence, we don't know. But, kids, this is a trauma for them. And yeah, for the dad to do that, that's just, I mean, that's not going to help out. And then, of course, going to lose time with the mom and all that. So they grant the TRO with, it sounds like, minimal evidence. And I don't know if you know the numbers, but mid 80s, I think it's like 86%, but mid 80% of all these allegations are proven to be false. These are proven, not they went away or whatever. 80, I think it's like 86%. I wish we had a website we can go to with all that information, but they would 86% of those are foundless. But again, the damage is already done.
Yeah.
So okay, so the TRO has been issued. Hasn't seen the kid since December. So let's just say 6 months. Well, I guess what's happening now?
I mean, initially, just a lot of, I mean, again, the mother's being, from what I see, railroaded. The other firm is trying to very quickly completely terminate her parental rights. Those are the filings they're doing, and it's been quite interesting watching her case over the last week, because things have really reached a frenzied pace where it appears that the other law firm is really kind of panicking, because initially, when Becca filed their motion to recuse on the morning they're going to have this hearing to terminate her rights, that was the thing that saved her. I mean, everything they were doing up until then was lawless. So
terminate her rights.
It was a smart.
Wow.
They were rushing through a hearing to just completely terminate her rights. And so, anyways, she was, based on this, the history and the fact that Navarro's, there was a connection with the military through JAG with the ex-husband, and Navarro. That's another reason why she didn't really trust, these kind of connections. But anyway, the last 2 weeks have been really interesting because this other firm is basically kind of panicking and trying to grab whatever they can, but it's all kind of falling apart. And I think, one thing I wanted us to talk about today is there's a lot of advantages to being pro se in the family court system. I wouldn't recommend it, even with my cynicism with the criminal court stuff. But in what happens in the family courts is, and I've experienced this, and I've talked to a lot of parents, is that the opposing counsel and your side, those attorneys will make deals behind your back, and you may not realize those conversations are happening, and you don't understand why your case, a very clear-cut case didn't go your way. It's because your attorney was softballing your case. And here's an interesting theory that I've been told by someone who's pretty smart. Some of these law firms owe favors, right? So I've got a client who has, paid a lot of money or whatever reason. I need to get this past the finish line. And if you will just not defend your clients or even turn on them, I will do you a favor next time. The next time you need a solid, I've got your back. And so I've experienced that.
Well, it was in the movie Divorce Corp.
Personally.
Like the...
Oh, okay. I watched that.
Divorce Corp, I mean, they talked about it at length where the judges, because judges can be a judge one day and a lawyer the next. So when they retire, they have they go to work for the law firm that, got all the good deals. And they're all buddies. They all play golf together. And they just, I mean, the back dealings, because... you'll walk in with a strong case, they'll walk in with a weak case, and you'll still lose by some crazy order of magnitude, and you're like, what happened? Well, they did a deal behind the scenes. It's obvious.
Yes.
And you don't know because we don't have cameras in the courtroom, because they will fight tooth and nail to ensure that you cannot get video of this.
I'm going to toss out just a tidbit. I contacted.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was contacted this week by someone who is going to run. Everybody probably knows them if I say their name, but they want
Starts with an A.
Bill to rooms. Bill. Huh? No. But they want to carry the in video, and that's basically one of the things that they're going to run on. They asked me to endorse them, but that is their issue. And go about the family court and what's going on, but from hearing and seeing and getting involved in stuff they are so disgusted by that they want to carry that. So when that person announces, I'm going to endorse him and I'm going to go around and stump for him because we need audio and video in the courtroom.
Oh yeah. So Ed,
well, also, just one more thought on this pro se thing, and I've had a lot of. Your attorney will often discourage you from doing anything that's in your best interest. And so in Becca's case, I mean, she's filed a lot of motions that have really slowed the gears. There was this huge machine that was coming to crush her, and slowing that down is not easy. It's usually like not just one motion, right? So she's had to ask to recuse the judge and then the associate judge, because he was trying to do something. But I bet if she had an attorney, I bet the attorney probably would be afraid to do that, right? I mean,
They say it.
They're just skittish and they're scared. And
you missaid scum. You're close with skittish, but
they're
I think you
scummish.
scum. Yeah. Well, I want to offer the other side of it, though. I mean, because we know that usually the person that wins is the law firm that gave the most to the judge's reelection campaign. There's lots of data on that. I mean, what do you say? Because to be pro se, again, these guys are lawyers. They're not that smart. If it's already not obvious that they're not like intelligent, and I mean, you can go to TexasLawHelp.org and get 95% of the boilerplate documents to defend yourself. It actually walks you through how to do it, so it's not that hard. But the only cautionary thing I would have is that when you walk in, one, you got to have a clue. And I've seen a lot of stuff here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish they would have got a vasectomy and didn't procreate. But if you have a clue and you have an understanding of how the world works, the right understanding, you can defend yourself. But what do you say to if you're a pro se, judges have said this. If you're a pro se, you're going to lose. And not as you're an idiot, you're going to lose because you're pro se. It's no, you're pro se, you're going to lose. I don't care. You could have the most ironclad, situation. I will not rule in your favor because, again, they're all lawyers. This is money. I mean,
Yeah, they're going to protect that. They're going to protect their pocketbook. And when you say you go pro se, you're basically saying you're not going to pay into the system anymore. Right. And so, I'm early into this, but I'm just seeing all the advantages. And a year ago, if you had asked me, or if you asked Becca, they probably wouldn't have considered it because there's this idea that it's so incredibly complicated that no non-lawyer can do it.
Yeah. And I was the same way. I'm sitting here laughing, but when I went through my little shindig back in 2013, at first I was like, oh, wow, it's what you do. You get a lawyer. But then as I started trying to figure things out and realized that these attorneys are complete idiots, I basically pushed mine off to the side and did her job for her. And yeah, to represent yourself is easy. On 95% of the things that you're going to deal with in family court, the paperwork piece of it is simple. The forms are easy to fill out. There's not a whole lot to it. It walks you through, it has little videos, and you name it, they have it. It's on TexasLawHelp.org. And if you have a reasonable understanding of how the world works, you can do it with no problem. My concern really is just that judge that's going to have a bias against you. Having a lawyer with a law firm that has a little bit of clout, can go a long way because the judge won't push you around.
When you hire an attorney, you're not hiring you're not hiring them because
they're intelligent.
Because they're law. Yeah, you're hiring them because of their connections. Right. And that's kind of the dirty. I don't know if it's even a secret anymore, but when you pay a lot of money to Coons Fuller, I think people understand what they're paying for. They're not paying for this attorney's going to be such a great Perry Mason in court. You know, they're the ones who are going to make probably unethical, have unethical influence, but you want that, so you're willing to pay for it. And they got it. They're willing to sell it. So that's the transaction. But yeah, I would say that the bigger danger with attorneys isn't just that, not just their intelligence, is that they're mostly all compromised.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a nice
even an
way of putting
attorney
it.
that you trust and you think will work for you in the right courtroom with the right opposing counsel will stab you in the back.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're gonna because they're looking out for their own best interest. I mean, that's why when you go in for a divorce, the first thing they ask you is financial statements. I mean, they say it's to figure this out, but they want to figure out how much they can drain out of you before you're broke. You've sold off your great grandkids' inheritances, and then they tell you to settle. I mean, again, in Tarrant County, it's 94% custody for women. Women get primary custody 94% of the time. This is the data that we've had for decades. If a guy walks into family court and says, "What are my chances?" They look at his balance sheet and he's got assets, and he tells him, "Oh yeah, we can get you 50-50 or primary whatever." He's lying to him. I mean, it's all a scam. But to your main point. I mean, all things being equal, most people walking in working or having to navigate family law against these yahoos is a joke. The lawyers are idiots. I wish I don't know if you guys have a different opinion, but they're morons, as Judge Judy rightly pointed out years ago. They're a bunch of lunchboxes. Let's be honest. I don't know if you gotta keep it real or whatever, but I don't. They're idiots. And they have the most puffed up egos that I've ever seen. They think the world revolves around them because they're a lawyer. And they're idiots. They couldn't. Again, they've got two brain cells fighting for third place. They're idiots. And yeah, if you go pro se on the merits of the law and filling out a boilerplate document, do you want to pay someone $500 an hour? And I'm sure it's more now, but $500 an hour to fill your name out where it says insert name here. Oh shit! What was that movie that came out years ago with John Candy? It was like
way back.
Yeah, it was a security movie. It was like not Spies Like Us, but it was like whatever. But they graduate security school and they have to take an oath, and they go, I state your name, and the entire group says, I state your name.
State your name.
I can't remember that movie, but that's what these attorneys are like. They're all morons, every one of them. And if any lawyers are listening in, I'll debate your goofy asses any day of the week. Any day of the week. Anyway.
So I think on what y'all are talking about. So in my area, so psychology, I spent most of my time in academia and all that. I've been in academia a long time before I left. You have tiers, right? Not all psychology degrees are the same. A degree in neuropsychology is going to be much more stringent than a degree in family counseling. It's night and day.
Right.
And so, and in my field, the bottom of the rung are basically social psychologists and counselors because they're not trained in anything to do with research. They don't know the science. They don't know ideology. They don't know. They just, it is literally, that's the thing. You can go to a conference. What do? I'm a developmentalist. I'm an experimentalist. And they'll apologize. I'm sorry, I'm a counselor. And everybody knows why, because they're basically saying, yeah, I don't really have anything in common with any of y'all. In family law, because I know tons of judges and attorneys amazingly. I knew them before, and I've met many more, and there's a lot actually on our side. In family law is the bottom of the barrel. Family law is where every other type of attorney says they don't practice law. Most of them don't know the law. They go in there and they
had a lobotomy.
It's scammy tricks to get as much money as possible.
Yeah.
And everyone knows it. There's no one that goes, oh yeah, family laws are respect. No, the only people that say that are the people who work in it. Everyone outside of their area goes, no, they're scumbags. They lie, they cheat, and they don't practice law in those courts. And you can see that from videos all over YouTube. Wow. Tarrant does a masterful job, but there's other YouTube videos where attorneys are asking for attorney fees. And the judge says flat out, no, I cannot do that. I just got, for lack of a better word, bitch slapped by the appellate court 2 times for handing them out like I do. And none of the lawyers didn't understand. And she said, I can only give them out in these 2 kinds of situations. Mm-hmm. And they were furious because they've been so used to just handing out everybody else's money like candy. The judge literally didn't know the law until the appellate court said, you can't do that. What are you doing? And she'd been doing it her whole career.
Yeah.
So that's the caliber of people. But if you took that low caliber of person and stuck them on a criminal court or in a real civil court, oh my God, the feds would be here in a heartbeat dismantling Tarrant County.
Yeah.
I mean, it would. So they take
I agree.
these people who they owe political favors to, or they have the right color skin, or whatever it is, and they put them in office because they know they'll do their bidding and they won't upset the apple cart. But in the end, they are all amoral idiots. And some of them aren't idiots. Some of them are very bright. They're just scumbag pieces of garbage who know how to pervert the system even more than it was designed for. When I speak, I always use the word pedophile when I speak about these judges and these attorneys, and I use it repeatedly because there is no difference in child abuse when you're physically sodomizing my child or when you're mentally sodomizing my child. So I'll call you a pedophile every single day, and we talk about attorneys not being on our sides. I have an attorney, I'll name him. Sue me if you don't like it, C.W. Martin. C.W. Martin entered into an illegal Rule 11 agreement behind my back and paid the opposing counsel money out of my funds because the opposing counsel threatened to file a bar complaint on him for filing a recusal. He then went to that recusal hearing and no-billed it without telling me. Actually told me the hearing was canceled so I would not show up. That is the attorney I was paying tens of thousands of dollars for. So basically he got scared and said, I'm not going to ruin my career, but didn't even tell me they had a hearing. I found out they had a hearing when I went to hire a third or fourth attorney, and they said, you've already had a recusal hearing, and read me all the documents offline.
This goes to what Ed was saying earlier about these lawyers and judges are going to do what's in their own interest. I did want to comment real quick. Thank you for, I don't know, when you changed your Wi-Fi, it put you into 1080p. And I just want everyone, I want to comment personally, the goatee that you're sporting now is on point. I just want you to know that. I just want to get that out of the way. Ed, you're always looking sharp and fine, so it's a Friday for you.
See mine, the white whiskers are kind of hard to see on.
I was going to do the NHL thing where as soon as I went into seclusion, I wasn't going to shave, but I've got like baby skin, and when I grow facial hair, it gets about a quarter inch, and it itches. It drives me nuts. I've never in my life been able to grow facial hair because I itch it so much, it's insane. So this will be gone in a day or two when it starts itching. But I was going to try. So I'm just going to go with the hair. I'm not going to cut my hair until I'm done with my federal stuff. So it should be about down to my ass by the time I get these people locked up.
Sorry to detract from that. Just had to comment. So,
well, the litigation that goes on the 231st with the wealthier people, I want to talk about that real quickly because we all know a bit about Shelley's case and Dia's case, and those are both 231st cases that are ongoing.
Yeah. Wasn't it in Shelley's case where her attorney approached the Coons Fuller attorney during a break and basically asked her for a job and told her how awesome she was doing and she would love to work at the law firm in the courtroom in front of everybody sitting there? They said, we're going to take a 15-minute break. Boom. Didn't even bother going outside. Was sitting there in front of people attending the trial, trying to get a job at Coons Fuller. I believe that was Shelley's case.
There's a lot with Shelley's case. It could be it's cliche. It could be its own book. And, but when a client has a lot of money or both sides or one side has $1 million or $2 million to burn in legal fees, it's amazing how those just happen to be the ones that go on for years.
Oh yeah. And they have money. Go figure.
These courts are allowing it is the other thing. I mean, Dia's divorce, like her divorce is finalized, and how is this ongoing? Yeah. How is Shelley's case ongoing? Like these are finalized cases.
No, they never end. You can always go back and open them up.
Oh yeah.
It is the most lucrative area of law because no one's going to fight for a 2014 Tahoe, but they're going to fight for their kid.
Exactly.
And if you stop fighting, and I want you to fight some more, well, we're going to tell mom or dad or whoever's on the other side, it's Christmas. Let's file a TRO so you get Christmas and don't have to spend it. And now we're back in courts for another $20,000 or $30,000 over the next 2 or 3 months. And then we're going to do it again for spring break, and we're going to do it again for summer.
Yes. It's important to notice, and I've observed this personally, Coons Fuller, the 231st is the playground for Coons Fuller. So that's another reason why. And I think that's why that court is so backed up. I mean, Jesse just allows his attorneys to just run everything. It's very disorganized, but as soon as, one of these law firms needs something, they get a hearing and everyone else is getting pushed back. It's
ridiculous.
It's just so, yeah.
My thing though is, can we we need to get the people of Tarrant County to do something about it. Not, the 10, 20 people that are always involved in this and talking, but get the larger Tarrant County population to get involved.
Well, and
that's
the easiest thing for most people to do is, so I don't care if you're on the right or the left. And so like when I talk about Texans for Judicial Accountability, they're nonpartisan. They're not conservative.
Right.
They're not Democrat. They're not Republican. They're not liberal. They're not
Right.
not border. They're nothing. All they are is about holding the judiciary accountable.
right.
So, and in my thing, I'm very open that I'm a conservative Christian. But what I talk about, I don't think should be a Democrat Republican issue, because I just want to quit destroying kids and then wonder why we have the world we have, right? So I'll speak anywhere, and if you want to bring me to your Democrat club, I will do it. I just won't hit the abortion and border, because that's not why I'm there. I'm there to talk about what we're doing to kids. And if you can still sit there and go, no, that's fine, that's great, people make money off of it, well then you're my enemy. But I've tried, kick the dust off my sandals and move on. But one of the things is they try to turn it into this political thing, or the moms versus dads. Well, we've just spent half this time talking about multiple moms who are getting screwed.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's not just that. It shouldn't be anything. It's like, stop breaking kids for money. That's basically all that we're doing, and there shouldn't be any political thing. But I'll talk to any group out there. I don't care where you are on the. If you're an LGBTQ crazy frat house, I don't care. But if you care about this issue, I'll come speak to your people. I'm not going to speak about your stuff, but I'll speak about my stuff. And it shouldn't have any political divides, but it always does, because your political system runs the court. The judiciary is not independent. The sheriff, the DA, the police chief, maybe your courts, they are all in on the game, and their only game is to get more power and stay in the position of power. That's all they care about. So if people really want to make a difference, if you're in Tarrant County, go to True Texas Project or the North Texas Hispanic GOP Club, or go to the Democrat Club, I don't care. But when you go and you start talking about this stuff and laying it out, most people have never heard this. This is how you get these judges primary. This is how you take their legs out from the grassroots. This is how you start going after them. You get people to hear it, because most people don't know. They really don't know how this operates, except for those who've been through it. So instead of telling me, which I know, take your happy ass down to True Texas or the Tarrant County Democrat meeting, whatever, and start. There's some people in Collin County, Scott Wedge. He's new to this whole thing. All he does, he goes to both Democrat and Republican meetings.
Ed did, yeah,
and speaks to all of them. It says, this is my issue. I don't give a crap what your political thing is. And because of that, partially, Emily Miskell was not elected to the Second Court of Appeals. She was later appointed by Abbott to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, but she was one of the only Republicans in Collin County who did not get elected, because everybody heard what she did. And that's the thing. When you go on Facebook and bitch, you're bitching to people who already know. Go to the people who get these people elected and take out their support and their funding. That's how you get them on the most basic, lowest level. And then once you get in there, say, hey, I know people who could come speak. Ed could speak. Jennifer could speak. Brooks could, anybody. But you get them in there and you do this, because by the time I leave a room, everybody's pissed off.
Oh, share
everyone's pissed off.
Share what happened.
And that's my
Brooks,
goal.
You've got my brain spinning. One thing that makes me hopeful for this and us, is that it's not partisan. Someone told me one time, I was at an event, Eric Carroll out in Plano. We were all there. Someone told me, I forget who it was, said there are two things that it's almost impossible to politicize. property taxes and family courts. Or maybe they put it like parental rights,
Right.
whatever. But that's really true. Like you have to really try hard to make this. I mean, it's impossible because our kids are our children, and Democrats and Republicans love their children, and the family courts destroy Republican and Democrat families. I mean, if you don't understand that this is something that we can be united on, so that's one reason I'm hopeful. On the other topic you brought up earlier, the way they try to divide us. One way they do, I want to read what Chuck Nutboom, I almost said Nutsack, but Chuck Nutboom wrote about me in response to my cover
is
story.
a synonym, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
It's
just
a
came out.
pseudonym. Yeah.
I'm gonna give him that nickname now. So this is the bitter parent argument that we've all been accused of. I'm sure at some point where. So Dave, I'm gonna read this to you, but we've all gotten this, and it's gotten to the point where it's fortunately it's very laughable because it's such a weak argument. They can't address the substance of what we're saying. All they can say, this is a bitter parent, but.
Right.
In response to Edward Brown's factually deficient rant because he is a loser in family litigation. So again, he's calling me a family court loser. This is their plan, and on this email he CC'd Palmer. Is it Elizabeth Palmer? Am I saying that right? So when he emailed my editor, he CC'd these big wig attorneys to say, "Look, I'm going to put this guy in his place."
Right.
So I'm a family court loser. Be advised, I have known Judge Jesse Navarez for many years. He's a good person, a good lawyer, and a great judge. Many people would disagree with that. As much as Brown obviously loves his children, he is obviously ignorant about the law. This is coming from an attorney, of course. After 45 years of practice, I've noted that the high standards of the Star-Telegram has for objectivity, reporting accurately about litigation. The Fourth Weekly has disrespected their readers by publishing what can be described as garbage, not objective journalism. So, I mean, this is a story I wrote about my...
Isn't he the personal injury, I'll sue you for whatever you want lawyer? Isn't he an ambulance chaser? Doesn't he have that big sign there on 30 that says no boom?
Yes,
If you've ever been,
lots of billboards.
Yeah, if you've ever been offended by anybody, I'll sue him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to make sure in context. I was just trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to pick on Chuck. And by the way, my story is...
Well, let us.
What?
Let us do it.
Okay, I'll give you guys 2 minutes. Have fun. My point is that the whole bitter parent, you're a family court loser. They try to use that against us, and I'm sure at some point, everyone in this movement is going to be accused of that. But the more that we keep talking about facts and evidence, it's going to be harder and harder for them to sustain that really limp nutsack argument.
Yeah.
Hey, what would be a great event if we had a stage and a camera, Jeff Morgan, somebody, I don't know, and you were up there in the middle and Chuck Noteboom was on one side and I was on the other side and we just had a 2-hour just general discussion. Because I always want to learn. So if Chuck Noteboom can teach me how this isn't the most destructive system possibly we could put in place for children, and it's monetized beyond belief in our state, far surpassing any other state in the nation.
Yeah.
I'll buy him pancakes at Old South, and I will issue a formal apology and say that I was wrong, and I will bow out of public service, and I will never do another speaking event again. So the invitation is out there. He could literally take me out. Newell and Stone would love him for it, and so would everybody else involved in my
here's
case,
the opportunity.
He could literally simply take me out with his brilliance, logic, and knowledge of the law. I have no law degree, so it should be easy to wipe the floor with me, and I'm also getting a little nervous, but I'm willing to do this. I'll take one for the team, so the invitation is out there.
And you wouldn't mind having a factually deficient family court loser like me on stage with you?
No. You're good for comic relief and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, I thought that was funny.
I mean, who else? I didn't see that part of the article. Who else responded back to that with data or facts? Did anybody respond back?
You know what's nice? There were a lot of responses people had against Chuck's response.
Okay, good. That's
and people. One thing people called on our Facebook, and some people tagged me on Facebook. They called out Chuck for accusing me of being factually deficient and then just going into these baseless accusations. Like
Yeah,
that's all he did.
Where were you factually deficient?
He did not point out one thing in the story. It's 4,000 words. He couldn't point out one thing.
It's almost like he's making an argument in family law court, isn't it? Where you just say stuff and don't back it up with anything that actually means anything, but you just say it and someone goes, "Oh yeah, that's a." Maybe it's just bad habit. He didn't shake before he wrote that letter. He forgot where he was.
Or Ed, he wore white after Labor Day. I mean,
yeah, could be.
Well, one thing I appreciated, because Chuck sent this to my editor explicitly asking for it to be printed the following week. We also ran about 8 or 9 other comments of the story that were all positive. So he's definitely in the minority. And again, it's noteworthy that he's an attorney who's friends with attorneys, and they don't like
so he's a moron.
us.
Okay.
They don't like people like us questioning their living, the way they make money.
He's not in family law.
Sure, that's true, but he's amongst the attorneys.
In next legislative session, if I'm still alive, I've got people with 12, 13 bills I've handed them over the next 6 months and literally walk them through why we need these. Some of those are going to be immunity for judges and for attorneys. One of the goals is to have an independent law enforcement investigatory agency that does nothing but go after court actors, judges, and attorneys. So while he's not in the family court, his place is not very far from family court. It's still a mucky area. He doesn't want to see the family law come down because he will be exposed.
But
he will be at risk.
Don't we already have the SJCJ?
Yeah, that thing down there. The one on their webpage that tells you if it's a criminal complaint, go to law enforcement, and then law enforcement tells you to go to the SEJC because they don't handle judges' complaints.
That one, the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to go through all that in Tarrant County here real soon.
Yeah, the thing I hit on is just more people need to get involved. I mean, when was the guy's name Chuck Cockknocker? What was his name? I'm sorry.
Noteboom.
Not sack. Anyway, so when when he did that, there should have been 1,000 responses back with factual data. 94% of all this, but the data that's readily available. People, and again, I used to harp on this a lot, but getting more than one person. We had, a situation, I guess a month or two ago where some idiot made a post about men get, and I know it shouldn't be a woman thing, but men get favorable treatment in court proceedings, and it's I know it was great.
I saw this.
You could say that with a straight face.
It was a lady who said it. I should probably pull it. Well, I've deleted all that stuff, but she had said that, and I made a funny video back. But my big thing, and I listed all the facts, is that everybody needs to know this stuff so that they can push back when one of these insane people says nonsense. So at least, because what happens, it gets on Facebook, it becomes true, and then that's what people remember. But we need more people pushing back to say, this is wrong, here's why, and then at the right time say, they're an idiot, and then move on. But that's the area, that's just a huge area that I've seen over the decade I had been in this, that I saw, is that not enough people are involved. It's up to the Brooks, the Eds, the few people that are always going to these events, saying and doing and pushing back at great expense, because again, you come under fire for doing it, because the judiciary and everybody else looks and goes, well, there's only 10 guys that are fighting back here.
A third of the panel here has an active warrant. I'll just point that out. So that's probably a statistic. If we extrapolate that, I bet a third of our colleagues are in danger at any given point.
Right.
So, one grenade and we can take them all out. Let's get them all in one room and one grenade and we're done.
Well, and that's just my thing, is that getting more people involved with this. I mean, I'm not going into my thing, but it's just getting more people involved, because these people, I mean, when you've got the Speaker of the House, shit-faced, passing laws, that's a problem. When you've got, all these different things happening and they're allowed to get away with it, when you've got attorneys who are in the family law thing, passing laws and talking about, which is a clear violation. I mean, it's in black and white. It's a clear violation, and they're allowed to get away with it repeatedly. And no one says anything. It's this is how we got where we're at today. I mean, we need people to get educated and fight back. That's the thing.
And everybody has a different fight back.
Yeah.
I can't do. Well, no, I'm sorry. Actually, I probably could, Eddie. No, I'm kidding. I can't do what Eddie
Go
does.
for it. Go for it.
Yeah, people read my stuff and go,
You have a PhD, man. You're more qualified than I am. Don't.
But not everybody can go speak. Not everybody's a great public speaker.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm great. I'm just comfortable with it. And if you don't like it, it doesn't bother me.
You are great, by the way.
And not everybody is a B. Miller who has this, or an Orlando or any number of, the Gonzalez and any number of these guys. It's like we all have this thing, right?
Yeah.
I didn't spend my life training for this. If I was in my field, I've got a huge thing.
Right.
But I've had to learn this thing to apply here. And so not everyone can do it. And if you can't do any of those things, you know what you can do? You can go to, I don't know, Patreon or I don't know how this crap works or any of it. You can $5 a month to do Texans for Judicial Accountability.
Oh, yeah.
Hell,
yeah,
you can do $5 a month to Dad Talk or to Pissed Off Parent or however it is, because, and I'll just say it. Everything that I've made at all in over 2 years has done nothing but go to travel expenses to speak. That's it. That's all I spend my money on is traveling in speaking, because as far as I know, I'm the only me that we have currently. And that doesn't make me special. It just means I'm the only one who's willing to do this. There are other me's in this state, but they all work at universities and aren't going to lose their career for it.
Right.
So I'm the me. And so I have to do this until God lets me do something different. But if I'm sitting at home and I just don't have time, but I'm able to feed my kids and we got an extra $40 to go out this weekend and do something fun, hey, spend $30 and send $10 of that to somebody to help them do this stuff. It's, there's a call out currently. We're not making a public call, but for approximately $1,000 to get something launched. I'm not allowed to talk about what it is, but when it gets launched, it will be big and you will recognize the names and it will be very impressive. But even with that, in the groups that we know, we know hundreds of people. Why? What's it for? Who's going to use it? It's like, dude, shut up. Just send it, because I know you got it and we need it to do this thing. Because without money, the squeaky wheels don't turn.
Right.
Without money, people can't go to Austin. Without money, this $10,000 is for something that will be announced soon. Yeah. But we've got men, Lowry and Bello, that before the conservative or the GOP convention in Houston, I don't know what they spent, but they basically sent flyers to all, to send flyers to every primary voter, I think, in Texas for the Republicans, talking about equal fairness. And these two guys got together because they are very busy with their stuff. And they still do stuff on top of that. But if you can't do something, hell, and you can't send me $10 for gas or Jennifer $10 to help get her, whatever it is, I don't want to hear you bitch. And if you don't have any money and you can't do all this stuff, you can still pray for me. And if you don't have any money and you can't do this stuff and you don't believe in God, talk to God anyway, because he'll listen because he knows it's for me. But we can all do something. But most people want to sit and roll around in this mud pit of Facebook and have everybody else go, oh yeah, it's horrible.
Facebook comments do not get us any.
Because you're talking to people, but that's the thing.
But
everybody
won't my
needs
story
to get armed.
Right, but won't my story make a difference?
Yeah,
verbally. But won't my personal story make a difference? If I just told you my personal story, would that? So this week I've probably fielded about 15 phone calls from all over the nation. I'm working on some cases. And for people who don't know, I help others when they get a child custody evaluation that is obviously slanted, not based on science and just a hit job. So I take those and because I'm a researcher, and I say, let's apply the scientific method, and I destroy them. And For
I
free.
show how,
Oh, okay.
but for very
Okay.
cheap. Yeah,
Very
no,
cheap, yeah.
no, it's less than $1,000
Oh,
to
okay.
get me to do that. When your child
Free.
custody eval costs you $60,000,
It'll
and
say
you're paying a
it's
guy
essentially
$1,000.
free.
Yeah. So, but I do that. I'm now doing it all over the nation because even people within the field of psychology do not want to correct their people who put in these
Their
false
peers.
reports.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the peers. So it's the same thing with the lawyers. So it's not just the attorneys and it is everyone involved. Anyone who gets any kind of money from that court interaction or the subsequent supervised visits or anything, they want it to be just like it is because that's where their cash comes from. Now, I can take these reports and show them to multiple other psychologists I know, and I have, and they go, "Oh my God, that is so disgusting." Great, but would you testify about that in court? Ain't no chance in hell, because they know that they will potentially lose an academic job if they do that.
Oh yeah.
You know, they'll be gone if they don't already have tenure. They probably won't get it, and that's kind of the system we have. So there's a few of us, because some of us have lost pretty much everything that we have, and we just don't care.
Right.
Some have aged out and are fighting that battle.
Oh, okay.
But for those who can't do all this stuff, $10 a month, seriously.
Yeah.
$20 a month, $50 a month, depending on, because, that's often the difference between being able to send out the flyers, having someone there, having people go to convention and testify in front of the Legislative Priorities Committee, all of this stuff, sometimes when I go speak somewhere, it'll cost me almost $1,000. I've been down to the Rio Grande Valley from where I live. That's a 13-hour drive. Plus you're staying there for days and then you're driving back, and it's, so everybody can support in some way. And I'm not asking for money because I don't even have a money link. I don't even know how to do it. But I'm just saying there are so many that need it because that's how they function. They've got to function at some level.
Right.
And so when people say, "How can I help?" It's like, I don't know, $5, $10, or come speak with me. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, actually, this Texans for Judicial Accountability. I mean, it costs money to set up a website to keep all that going. I know Jennifer's done some stuff. You've done some stuff. Other people, or there's a lot of things behind the scenes. It's not free. I mean, and if people want things to change, either they can get out and do it themselves, or they can help fund those that are going to do it. And a big shout out to Jennifer because she's been covering my speaking events that I cannot go to because I have to be in hiding for an illegal state warrant, and a federal court is just letting it lounge. And so thank you, Jennifer, for covering my speaking events because I can't go in public. Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make. Oh, if I can make a point. The idea of how do we grow this, right? So I think it's always going to be driven obviously by people who have, unfortunately, initially the core is going to be people who have been affected by this court system, right? The parents, the children. And that's probably reasonable to expect. We can't expect everyone to take up this cause.
Granted, yeah. Dramatic pause, maybe. It might be.
I said they were screwed over at first. So, yeah, am I back?
You kind of broken in and out a little bit, but yeah, you're back.
Okay. A lot of people, if they just enter the court system and they lose a lot of money, they don't necessarily understand that they were railroaded or that this court is extremely unlawful. Right. But once you start to understand that, that's what's happening. Like in the 231st, for example, a lot of I messaged one guy. He was the one who posted in disruptive media that Judge Navarez literally fell asleep during his testimony on child alienation. But said, I'm quite ready to talk on the record with you, but your article really connected a lot of dots for me. I didn't realize, a lot of, so the more that we, especially within the same court, I would say, because we have the same judge doing the same kind of pattern of abuse, misconduct. When I connect with Rebecca and I connect with Dia and Shelley and Stephen May, I see a very consistent pattern of how this court operates, and it's all horrible stuff. But I wouldn't have understood that was a pattern if I hadn't talked to them. And when I talked to Becca, and I'm like, well, they just made up that order. They just made this thing up and signed it.
Sounds crazy.
They did that to me, and they did that to Stephen. They also don't notify people about hearings, right? So
Right.
Stephen, there was another falsified court order in the 231st from Stephen May's dad. Stephen May maintains that his dad was never notified about this hearing. And there was also another interesting thing that happened with his dad's case. There was a hearing, a magical hearing held the morning. You remember 2 years ago, there was that horrible I-35 car wreck that totaled like 120 cars and like 5 people died.
Yeah.
Just near downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a hearing at 9 a.m. that morning for Stephen May's case. Anyway, Stephen May's father's case. Anyway, Stephen's adamant that hearing never happened. Like there are a lot of things that Jesse will say happened that just never happened.
Right.
But until we all connect and share our stories, we don't realize the level of the corruption.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think that holds true for most of the court. So I've talked to many people who've been through Newell's court. There's another man, I believe he commented on here earlier, who's been under a capias warrant for I think a couple of years now from Newell, and the hearing's online, and the man is a disabled veteran, and my understanding is federal law, you can't touch VA benefits for child support. You can't take it.
Right.
And Newell kept asking him about his income, and he kept saying, I don't have any, I get disability. And Newell basically said, well, you just lied to me. You said you don't have income, but you do get money. So turn yourself in. So he's been under a capias warrant like me for 2 years because Newell wanted him to say on the record that he had income, which would be disability, so he could use it for child support, which would be against federal law. So when you start talking to these people, and this video is on YouTube.
Yes,
it's on YouTube. It is sitting right there. And you can look the law up. He can't. And so this man has technically an illegal warrant on him because Judge Newell is a puffed up, self-righteous, bloviating POS, and I'm not talking about point of sale system. And that's the way he operates because he just thinks he can bully. Because if you think about it, none of these judges have ever gotten in trouble for decades and decades and decades.
Right.
So they're just used to coming in and diddling the children and getting away with it because this is where we come to diddle children. And now that people are coming after them, because we're getting organized and coming after them, they don't know what to do because that bully's never been bitch slapped by somebody they were bullying. And now we got a lot of bitch slappers, and excuse my language, but we got some pretty good ones that are starting to rise up. And there's a really big one coming probably in the next month or two. It is going to be a massive, it's going to be, it's good. So, but they don't know how to react because no one's ever punched them back in the nose.
Right.
And now they're sitting there holding a bloody nose. I'm going to kill you. And everybody's going, yeah, go ahead. Because that's just more evidence of how you are. They just literally just don't know how to defend themselves because they've never been attacked like this.
Right.
And I just, all I'm trying to do is burn down your industry. I don't have anything against you personally, other than, you probably are going to hell. But I just want to destroy your industry, and I'm very open about it. But they're just not used to it because no one's ever come at them because you will pay a price.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if we had, 1,000 people down at the courthouse, if we had 1,000 people all, telling stories, or at least picking up, what Ed was saying, they went to Newell's court and they had these 3 things done to him. You can establish that pattern because you can't get data out of Tarrant County courts. I've tried. It is harder than hell to get any type of data out of them for obvious reasons. And our DA won't do anything about it either. But if we could get people to, if you're talking about it, then someone else goes, oh, yeah, that impacted me too. A lot of times they got screwed over and didn't even realize. They just figured that's just the way it works. And then you point that out.
Correct.
They go, oh, wait a second.
Absolutely.
And then they can get involved. But
the pattern.
Yeah, we've got to get people involved.
And I think when people see it's a pattern, that upsets them. And that's when you really get people who are like, well, this is a systemic issue. They want to fix it. I mean, they will, even if they're past the point of their kid being in court. I mean, most people have a sense of justice and injustice, and most, good people, get pleasure out of doing good work, right? And there's nothing I can imagine that's more rewarding than fighting something that's just so unapologetically destructive. I mean, so people once you get involved, it's you get kind of addicted because it's just like, oh, we're going up against
so you get burnt out.
the Third Reich here, you know. Like, it's pretty rewarding work. I mean, it is.
It is kind
So
of being the Jewish resistance, because most people do just lay down.
Yeah.
Because they can use the full force of the system to destroy you.
a lot of people get destroyed and they can't fight back. I totally agree.
Remove your kids.
And it's
from
designed
you.
that way.
Yeah, we'll limit your access even more if you keep doing this, because now you're just contentious and vexatious and all that. You know.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think that anybody who works in the system can claim to be a good person.
No.
I mean, because you are absolutely aware of the utter corruption and you've done nothing about it.
Yeah,
But you cannot be a good person when you do nothing about it. And I don't care what God you say you follow or what Bible verse you want to. Hey, Kate Stone, I like your Bible verses. What Bible verse you slap up and whatever. When you are out literally abusing children for your financial gain and your political power.
Yeah. Special spot for you.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say the rest of it because then they'll put some warrant out for me for some other stuff. But but forever we've sold the legal profession. No, you just wouldn't. Oh, it's so, you know, we're a special class. You wouldn't understand. It's complicated. But in reality, what we've done is okie doke you into just accepting getting screwed because everybody else benefits. You know, so we know what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah, like when's the next judicial election for Tarrant County? I'm trying to see. It what just happened recently?
Well, January they just took their benches from the last November election.
So we got 2 years. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if we got one or two of these guys unelected based on their record and all the issues, that would probably send a message to the rest of them.
If you are Republican or conservative and you want to get a judge unelected, you start attending True Texas Project Tarrant County. Those are the people, them and some of the other groups, who get the judges elected.
Yeah.
So you go there and you start talking about the family courts and what's going on. After I spoke in January, I had at least 6 people, and they weren't just random people. There were people who know some people who came up and said they're going to try to primary it. They're going to figure it out over the next year because they had no idea he was a lying piece of garbage like he was. He came in and sold them the same message, and they thought he was all a godly Christian man. By the time I was done talking, they were like, he's a piece of garbage. So, and I will go back to that group over and over and over again. I will make sure he doesn't get a penny from them, a dime, that when he shows up, they throw his flyers in the trash and say, sorry, brother, you need to turn around and leave.
What happened when was it January? Actually, you, me, and Ed were there at
early January or mid-January.
Can you describe for everybody kind of like what happened? I mean, it was I videoed it, and I think some other people videoed it, and like what happened? You walked in. What happened?
Whoops. Who walked out immediately?
So I walked in, and apparently some people recognized me, decided they didn't want to hear what I had to say. But while I was speaking, and I didn't see, because the lights but apparently some employees or former employees, somebody associated with the Attorney General's office, got up in the middle of it and went running out of the back of the room and told the people running the meeting that I was making stuff up, didn't know what I was talking about. This person had tears running down their face and they were very upset. In the audience, I believe, was a newly elected district judge who I don't talk crap about because I don't know anything about. So I don't come in here and talk smack about Cynthia Terry because I don't know anything about her. And she was in there, and there were some other people from the courthouse there, and there were some people who had meetings the next day with Phil Sorrells who were in there that asked me for some documentation. So there was a lot of plugged in people. And so when I lit that room on fire and named specific judges and gave specific incidents, I even talked about Paula. She's directly responsible for the death of children. Directly responsible for the death of children. And nobody knew any of this crap. And they were like, oh, they were terrible. And by the time it was over, Yeah, there wasn't a supporter for a judge in that room because they realized they had all been lied to and duped into getting these people into power, and these people have done nothing but destroy children. And so that's how I roll. And so, yeah, by the time it was over, there was a lot of upset people. There was a lot of pissed off people. There were some multiple people who ran out the back of the room and had to get out of there. And,
family law attorney.
and then two
family law
days
attorney
later, they
ran.
file a motion to have me locked up in jail. How coincidental. But,
Yeah.
you know, it is predicted. I think I told almost everybody I know about a year ago, within a year, I plan on having a warrant for my arrest because they're going to want to shut me up. They're literally going to want to take me off that stage so I cannot screw up their political career. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so imagine what would happen if for the next 2 years they've just taken the bench, they've got 2 years to do their thing, which, you know, they'll do whatever. Imagine if people flipped a coin, figured out which party they're part of, and then took a concerted effort to attend TTP or whatever, TTP, whatever, and then the Democrat, whatever, you know, and it doesn't even have to be like those specific political parties. It can be your Rotary, it could be your church group, it could be your atheist group, it could be whatever the hell it is.
Whatever group is politically active.
Yeah, and well, there are going to be voters, are going to have people there, and start sharing your story and this information. Imagine what's going to happen in 2 years when these guys put their signs out front, you know, saying, pick me for judge because I'm a good person. They're going to have all this information for the last 2 years telling them that they're pieces of garbage. They're not going to get voted in, you know, versus waiting to the last second or, you know, the Hail Mary at the end. It would be something to see if that actually happened. You know, that.
Well, no, but see,
and people need.
And that's the thing is so like this last session, I just counted a wash. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people upset about it, and hey, Gangsta Dutton. I don't agree with you on 90% of stuff, but he bent over the establishment Republicans like I've never seen. And anyway,
yeah, it was awesome.
This last session was a wash. There's a lot of people upset. We didn't get this and we didn't get that. And now that I know how it works, because 3 years ago I wasn't doing this.
Right.
I'm thinking about next session right now.
You should be.
And in 6 months, I am going to be handing bills I wrote to reps and senators I know will carry them. And I'm going to spend the next 18 months explaining it to them so they can stand on the floor of the House or the Senate and argue it as well or better than me.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah. Educate them. Yeah.
But most of us.
And Jennifer Lundy's goal too. She's got a.
But most people want to wait until session's about here. We need to start getting prepped. No, you should have been getting prepped 9-10 months ago. And so when you want to get these judges out, you don't show up, you know, in November when they're having primaries because it's already decided. It's over.
Exactly. Yeah.
You start showing up in the next 3 months, and for the next year and a half, you go to that group and you say, who can we get to run against this scumbag? And if your group is like, well, we really like, you know, Joe Schmo, you bring Eddie Brown in with his data and facts to shred him, and then say, okay. And that's what you do. You literally, I've gone all over the state speaking for people who wanted me to come in because they couldn't convince their groups how corrupt it was. So I've gone like all the way out, you know, West Texas, and it was like talking to 10 people sometimes. But when I leave, those 10 people in that little bitty redneck small ass county, and I'm a redneck, so I can say it, I can use the word. Those 10 people are the ones who are all the poll watchers and the precinct chairs, and they run the politics in that place. So when Joe Schmo comes up for election again, surprise, surprise, someone's primarying him. Hadn't primaried him in 20 years. What happened here? That's how you do it. You got to start taking their stuff out now, and you just keep building on it and building on it. So by the time you're there, their name is so toxic. It's like Bud Light. Not a Republican in the world wants to be seen walking out with Bud Light. And you want that judge to be the same way that not a politically active person in the world wants to be seen having lunch with them, talking to them, or anything. And when they come in, because they come into those groups and say, start handing these out to your homes, give them to your precinct chairs. They have them do free legwork. Those groups will say, screw you, we're pulling for your challenger, sorry. And that's how you get these people out of their job. Getting them arrested is a whole nother thing we're about to start trying in the next few months.
So how do you do that? I mean, again, I tried for a decade. I mean, again, without getting on the stuff with me, but I tried for a decade to get people engaged and involved, and it was horrible. I spent $3,000-$4,000 a year, and I don't even know how much time doing it.
My guess is it's the same problem churches have, right? So I'm a very late in life Christian, and most people can tell. And there's a lot of people say there's no way you can be a Christian because the way you run your mouth. And I'm like, sorry, that's just anyway. But that was always whatever church that I was volunteering or working at. That was always the issue. How do you get them involved and to come? And sadly, the answer is you don't offend them, which means you don't really talk about the Bible. And what
you tickle their ears. I think I read that somewhere.
And you make it entertaining. And that's why it went from 10 minutes of, whatever it's at the beginning, the music, and then the 40 minutes of sermon, and then 5 minutes of closing song, and you leave, to now it is 40 minutes of intro music, 15-minute sermon, and because they want people to be entertained, and that's how you keep them coming, like they're coming to a concert, unless you're a real church, and then they come to hear God. But,
Six Flags Over Jesus, yeah.
And so that's the thing, is everybody wants to be entertained on this stuff, and there's some entertaining stuff, and it's great. But if you take your camera, I don't know if y'all have been seeing all the videos I've seen popping up of some people going down and trying to file some stuff, and then their phones getting yanked out of their hands and stuff like that, right?
Cody and
I saw that.
That's illegal. I would go to jail if I did it to you. So what if I do that, and now I take that video and I go to the sheriff and the DA and ask them to press those criminal charges? I'm creating chaos in every level of every system. I don't want the DA to play nice with the sheriff, or even play nice. I want all of them to sit back and think Dr. McKenzie is going to destroy my political career if I don't do my job the way it's outlined in the laws of the state of Texas.
Yeah. Because
I am. And when the judge calls and says, hey, I need you to, he's going to go, no, brother, you take care of your side of the street. I got we're sorry, we've already launched into that's, you have to threaten them, and most people don't have that, but getting people engaged, most people want me to do their stuff for them. They want me to write their legal work for them. They want me to come and tell them all this stuff. And I'm like, do you have any idea how long it took me to write my federal removal?
Right.
It was, it's like, I don't know, it's like 180 pages long. I don't have time to do your stuff too, but I'll tell you people who could help you. But that's one of the things is most people, and it coincides with the depression and the severe PTSD a lot of people get from this. I have days, and I've told Eddie, and I don't hide it. I've had days where I haven't showered in 2 or 3 weeks, and I brushed my teeth maybe twice because it's all I can do that day to get out of bed and go, and because I am that depressed. And that's what this system does to people. And the more you fight, the more they're going to try to do that to you so you can't fight. And that's why I talk about it, because when someone's going through that, well, he just wants to know, hey, dude, he might be 10 seconds away from blowing his fucking his brains out.
Yeah.
So, because I've been there where I got up and thought, is it worth making it to tomorrow? I don't know. Yeah. So you've got all those factors that most of the people who are most invested in this have been so beat to hell. It's like it's like we need to get the Jewish resistance fighters before they get put in the concentration camp, because we're pulling them out of the concentration camp and they can't even walk across the field with us. And so but that's what our population is. And so, I just pray. And if you can't do anything else, pray, talk to God. I mean, my prayer life sucks just because I'm in one of those places, but hey, talk to God for me. But everybody can do something, and everyone can call and email both their senator and their representative, and they can do it every single month. What are you going to do about equal parenting?
Every day.
I want a meeting. Make sure to tell them that you are a constituent, and they will set that meeting up, and you can hammer them all day long. You could do that from now to the next primary.
Yeah. Now, Ed, what do you think?
I think there's. I'm optimistic on this topic. Keeping traction in the public's eye. I think I don't want to say that it's entertaining, because I don't want to diminish from the severe trauma that happens from parents who have lost children or lost access. But there is some appeal to this, because we have kind of clear good guys and villains. we have kind of people are always interested in courts and laws, and there's different ways you can engage in this system if you're learning how to file pro se filings. I mean, that stuff's interesting, and it's not abstract. These are very real world things that we're fighting for. We're trying to reform a system. We're trying to hold judges accountable who have had decades to build these walls to protect them, and we're trying to put cracks in them. And intellectually, I find it very stimulating because it's an enemy that's very, very complex.
Right.
But I think the resistance movement is full of some interesting characters, people like us, and I don't know, maybe I think we're more interesting than we are, but
Yeah.
I think people would enjoy getting engaged in this because I do think there's a place for everyone to kind of fit in and help out, and it's grassroots. It's democracy at its finest. It's us taking back the power of we the people at its finest, and for a very just cause. So I mean, good video content helps. I think there's ways you can kind of make this sexy for people to follow, and yeah.
Well, and I think, and one thing I think that just on the awareness level, all the stories coming about the U.S. Supreme Court, if y'all,
Sure.
the Tremor Pro
course.
or Pro, whichever one it was, and all that, and now, and so it's, and I'm not calling, but it's now in the national eye, it's in the public eye, and I will say in the last year and a half, I believe we've had more actions taken against judges being arrested and removed from the bench in the state of Texas than probably the previous 10 years. So we've got local and we've got national, and now we've got groups on all sides calling the judiciary corrupt from top to bottom, both sides.
Right.
So that's like free advertising for what we've been doing for a while. And so it's going to resonate more because they're hearing it here, and here. Oh yeah, I think I've heard some. Oh yeah, it's that bad here too. And I think it helps a lot. I mean, some people are like, well, they're conservative. I don't care if you're a conservative judge and you broke the law. See ya. I'm sorry.
Most of this crap is coming from the conservatives.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is they and that's the thing about like when I go speak, they don't know it until I'm done, and then they're like, "Oh my God, these are people I used to respect," and I'm like, "Yeah, these are the ones."
Yeah.
But that's the thing. We have a national speaking thing going about the corruption, all the way from the U.S. Supreme Court down, and so that is actually helping us with free advertising.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The Attorney General right now, the DA who in El Paso, you're at the Supreme Court. Clarence Thomas, all that stuff. I mean, yeah, at every level of the country, we're the people in the most powerful positions that we thought would never be touched, they all seem to be getting touched right now.
Yeah, just reach out and touch someone, baby. Maybe that's what we should call our movement.
Yeah,
we'd probably all get labeled terrorists then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the energy I get. I did it for a decade. And just, my experience has just been lackluster at best. I mean, hopefully,
hey, you know what? There were 99 other Rosa Parks who sat at the front of a bus somewhere and got their ass beat.
Right.
And got put in the hospital. So, am I or Eddie or somebody or this decade going to be that Rosa Parks? I don't know.
Right.
But before I
we maybe stay the ground for someone else.
I'm going to try it the right way.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so sad that when I see an Amber Alert, the first thing that pops in my head is Dad just went and picked up his kid.
Yeah.
And I know
mine are turned off.
Yeah, I know it holds true for moms, and I always look, and if the names match, I'm like, but if it's like, some random person, not the same race, not the same name, and extreme danger and all this, then I might look for the car. But you give me two people with the same name, I do not trust the courts at all to make a decent decision. I just assume, that's another alienated parent who couldn't deal with it anymore and went and got their kid. Hopefully you got some cash because they're going to shut your credit cards off. That's how my brain works.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. So Texans for Judicial Accountability. Let me put their info back up here. So this is a website that Jennifer Lundy is heading. They're meeting and all. You can go on the website and see where they're going to be at next. They're on, of course, Facebook and Twitter and all that, and YouTube. And they're trying to get things changed to hold these judges accountable. If you can go there, check out the information, donate. Obviously, they need funding to do the things that they're trying to do. I know that, well, actually, both of you are involved with this group in different ways.
I am
thoughts?
not officially affiliated
Right.
with anybody.
Right. You are a maverick.
That's to protect the
Right,
other
yeah.
people
That's
from
exactly
being in
what that
danger.
is.
Yeah.
It's for
Their
their
protection.
protection. The fundraiser, June 24th. Folks need to come to that or donate. But if you can come, there's a Facebook event page. You just search Texans for Judicial Accountability fundraiser. Again, June 24th, Saturday. I need to update the time. I think it says 4 p.m. But I believe we're gonna start at 6.
It says 6.
But yeah,
It says
anyway,
6 o'clock. I mean,
it says good. Okay,
up there real
okay.
quick. Yeah.
Jennifer's gonna be there. Dwayne's gonna be there. I'll be there.
I can't
We're gonna have
say
some guest
whether or not I'll
speakers.
be there.
I was gonna say Brooks is a maybe for obvious reasons. We're gonna have some politicians. She's getting some Jennifer. Jennifer Lundy. Is bringing some speakers who are elected officials.
So, have y'all ever talked about
Kinda
who
confirmed
Jennifer
that,
is? Have you had her on and gone through that, Wayne?
No. Again, since I shut everything down, I've been removed from everything. So I've been helping out peripherally behind the scenes on a few different things.
So, can I touch on real quick on just my take on Jennifer?
Yeah.
So, almost everybody in our space is a loser parent. Is an Eddie Brown, right? We're all loser parents who are just, I pulled an Eddie's going to be the new phrase.
Right.
I'm going to have T-shirts made up that say I pulled an Eddie, and then on the back it's going to say,
right.
"Excuse me, ma'am, I was just
it.
taking a breath," a la Brandon Johnson.
I
But Jennifer is not a loser parent. She's not in it. She's not of it. She didn't do it.
Mhm.
Jennifer is very, very well connected in the political space. She's worked on campaigns. She's worked within certain politicians. She knows people. So, and she's not one of us. So she can't get accused of being just some disgruntled person starting a stupid nonprofit. No, she's run people's political campaigns to get them elected to office.
Mhm.
She knows what she's doing. She's doing this because my understanding is she got very angry when a judge tried to retaliate against her for doing nothing but watching a hearing. And
Court
she
watching.
asked, she was court watching. And when
Yeah.
she asked around people what's going on, and they told her what really happened, she's like, I just don't know. And so she came out and saw me speak one night, and she knows some other people and talked to them. And by the time she got done that day, she was like, I'm going to start a nonprofit, and this is what it's for, because this is one of the most ungodly things I've ever heard of in my life. So she's politically connected. She's not a bitter Eddie. And, she there's nothing that people can hold against her except for maybe she's not liberal enough or conservative enough or garbage like that. But she knows what she's doing. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew it wasn't some clown like me trying to do a GoFundMe or something, because I would be completely inappropriate for it. This is a woman that did this stuff for a living, and now she's taken her energy and her time and her talents and her political connections and just hooked us up with them because she got so furious at the way she was treated. So I'm just kind of like vetting it, like she's a badass. It's not like me going, oh, I'm going to do something. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, a lot of information. There's a couple articles which I think talks about her history a little bit in those articles that are at the bottom of the site. I think there's some other information. I should probably know more about this. I just don't remember.
Our events, the fundraiser events, plugged up pretty high on
right
there
here
somewhere.
So you can click on that. then go. Then that takes you to the Facebook page. If you just go to the
Oh, it's
Texans
in
for Judicial
Tarrant
Accountability,
County.
Tarrant County, the epicenter.
Of course.
You know what? I'm gonna
I
come
also-
even if I have a warrant, and I'm gonna announce it. I'm actually gonna send the DA, the sheriff, and the judge a note saying I will be at this location on this day in person wearing these clothes. If I still have a warrant by then, that is what I'm going to do. And you heard it here first on Pissed Off Parent.
Yeah. Well, there's a group of Tarrant County parents that put this event together, and one thing that we're kind of proud of is that Tarrant County is taking the lead in supporting this nonprofit. I think we'll be the first official big fundraiser event, and we're going to do it every year. It's going to get bigger and bigger. Our goal is to make it as big or bigger as the Texas Family Law Foundation events that are super fancy. We want to be using ridiculous money, non-evil purposes. So,
Hey, you know, if we could
County
get their email list, we could actually send invitations to all the Texas Family Law Foundation members and just say, hey, maybe, you know, you'd like to come to the, I guess they'd call it the dark side or whatever, but, you know, come on over. We got a lightsaber for you.
we can save one. We'll save one or two of them.
Come drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I mean, there's again the website's getting updated with additional information. She does Jennifer does have her contact information on her here. We can reach out to her.
Who's that clown? That bald guy?
It's
Is he
another
like a
family court
mascot?
loser.
Yeah, I mean, if Jennifer, I'm actually waiting to get who the board members are and other people.
Isn't that Chippy the squirrel on the right there?
I think that's Chippy the squirrel. Yeah, if you want to reach
you
out
should
to.
replace the picture with like the Bucky's guy or something.
You know what? I could probably do that right now. That might be the thing to do. But yeah, the website has basic information. Of course, you can go here and check out what's the latest from the Facebook page. And there's that SCJC information. Get some links there. Learn about what judicial misconduct is, how that whole process works. And again, it's an evolving website. Just getting additional information on that. And of course, the articles they're coming fast and furious. But yeah, I would say for people to reach out. Look at those resources, see how you can get involved. That's another area is, these are different ways you can get involved here through social media, sharing the information. It's kind of the thing that I used to talk about a lot, getting that out there. And then, of course, if you have research information and all that, and of course, being able to donate to that will help out the organization as they travel all over the state to start changing things or to try to change some things. So it's one of those. Would ask everyone to if you got $5, $10, 25, whatever that is.
Yep, I've donated. Hopefully, a lot of people have. Yeah, she wants to get cameras in courtrooms. She wants judges who are found guilty of violations to be suable, so you can sue them. She wants more specifics on the State Commission on Judicial Conduct. No more secrets, disciplinary, whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone's name gets out, and all the violations get out, and several other really important reforms. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of different. But and it's TexasForJudicialAccountability.org, and the link should appear in the feed. Let me just pop it up again so you have that. You can either QR code it or it should appear as a link in the video feed, whichever channel you're on. But that is it. Well, guys, any other things that striking your fancy? I'm trying to think of what else is going on in the world right now that is newsworthy. Anything?
Didn't something happen with 25? Was it 2503?
2503. They actually. I'm glad you brought it up because there were a couple bills. But so 2503, for those that don't know, is that it's a state jail felony. It's 2503. It's a state jail felony that in the event you have custodial interference, meaning one parent does not allow the other parent to get their kid for their court-appointed time. It's supposed to be I call it the Diet Coke of state jail felonies, but and what's supposed to happen is when that happens, you go back to court, they get arrested, and they get put in jail for, I think, 6 months or $5,000 or a combination of the two. Wasn't happening. Well, now they're going to have it to where it's a shall. I did check the verbiage in the bill, and the words may and shall are very important in the legislation there, but it's a shall unless there is a lot of evidence to the contrary. They shall do a fine of $500, and it's by county. I think is it county or court or
Municipality or something.
municipality.
I don't know. I can't
Yes, the
remember.
municipality has has a little bit of a say in that. But so after I think if the governor signs it, starting September 1st, the people, when this happens, they'll be able to go through that process. You have to go back to court and all that, but you should be able to file it pro se. That should be a slam dunk. Get all your evidence, go there, do your thing. You don't need to hire an attorney to do that stuff. But yeah, that's one of them. A bill that I had to put my video on pause. But actually, Ed, you alluded to it a little earlier. But there was going to be the retroactive child support upon conception bill that was sailing on through. Everyone did it. I wonder, does everyone know just how masterful that whole thing went down? Because as I understand it, again, this is all hearsay, is that there was 5 bills presented for retroactive child support, and what this is from the moment of conception, the person that's named, i.e., they've said they're the father, they've been adjudicated, meaning the court said they're the father, or however that works out in some way, not through a DNA test, but through through someone saying something, they were the father. They are then on the hook for the 9 months of retroactive child support, and it's to pay for things like cribs, diapers, formula,
Prenatal care, vitamins.
pre-medical, and then post. What's that called when they go nuts after they have the kid? Postpartum. Yeah, postpartum. Which I always joke it lasts about 40 years. That the father would be on the hook to pay the postpartum stuff for that period of time. And the way it would work is the judge would then issue a judgment of, let's just say $10,000. That'd probably be the rough number, which then immediately goes on the guy's credit report. I think this bill 590 was going to put off the 1 year 6% per annum, whatever, but it'd be an immediate judgment that the guy would get saddled with. No DNA requirement, no nothing. The way I understand it, and well, what I've had to kind of piece together is that Dutton, who is again no friend of mine, he was like, "Oh yeah, great bill." He voted for it in committee. He was all over it, buddy with Jeff Leach. And then at the last second, he's like, "Hey, let me go ahead and present it for the final reading," because it got through the Senate, no problem. It got through the House committee, no problem, and then it was out there for like final reading. And at the buzzer, they had an issue with the bill, and they had to kill it. And the video's out there. Actually, I think this was one of the videos I came out of retirement to make, but you can watch it on Pissed Off Parents' YouTube channel or Facebook page as far as what happened. But yeah, it was a beautiful piece of WWE wrestling. I mean, that's really what all this stuff is. But yeah, they. So what I would tell people, while people patting themselves on the back, you guys just bought yourself 2 years. Because this bill is coming around next go around. There is too much money involved to let this thing go. All the same issues are there.
Yeah, they'll exponentially increase the amount of Title IV money they get if they get that, because everything will be enforcement. Everything will be enforcement, and you'll be going back, and they'll probably follow it up with, and if your kid's still under 18, you can go back and sue for those 9 months if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the way that bill's written, you can do that. It's not part wasn't written out.
Yeah, but he did screw him over.
It was beautiful. And what was funny is I was railing against it, trying to get people involved. Only one person wrote in. That was me. But sorry, I had to get that little shot in. But the information I pulled from was from Indiana, who had passed it 5 years earlier, and their family law foundation, their equivalent, was fighting to get the bill knocked down because it was so bad. When you've got the family law people saying it's a bad bill, it's a bad bill. It was horrible for dads.
Yeah.
Absolutely
So yeah, some
horrible.
of the time when I see I won't say their name, but an A or a B up there testifying in favor of a bill that's not horrible and sort of looks like it's okay a little bit.
Mm,
The first thing in my mind goes is they know that this isn't going to affect them negatively, so they're going to support it, and they're going to say, "Oh yes, we support this," just like the time given back thing. We support this because it doesn't cost them money, and they know there'll be more litigation coming out of it. Because as soon as that judge says, "Okay, I'm giving them the summer back that you got from the bogus TRO," well,
right.
she's immediately going to start filing. And so it's literally going to increase their litigation because it doesn't say you can't file a motion. So so when I see the enemy sit there and go, "Oh yeah, we support this. We think, a parent, blah, blah." No, they don't. They just know it won't hurt their bottom line.
Right. Oh yeah.
And then they'll bring up people who claim to be advocates or whatever and have them, meet with them. Why would I want to meet if I'm trying to keep babies alive? And this is me. Why would I want to meet with the abortionists and say, "Okay, how about we only kill 20%? No, I'm going to go after the abortionists and I'm going to do something to them. I'm not going to sit down and so when I see these advocates get sucked into this space, well, they did this for us and they did that. No, they didn't, because what they did changes nothing. It was just your little pet issue, and now you feel special because they put you up there at a table with a microphone and cameras, and they acted like you were their friend. And it really didn't do anything except for water down our cause, because baby steps aren't going to get anywhere, because most of your baby steps, they've incorporated into a whole nother plan you're not even aware of.
Well, at least our Stephanie Click has passed the most sweeping property tax legislation. That's a very important thing. Wow, Ed didn't even respond to that. Are you just waiting for the joke to hit, or
What's the connection?
there was? I was talking about our duly elected officials lying and doing stupid crap to.
I hear Click might get primaried. A birdie told me that.
I'm hoping she gets kicked out. That's what she needs, and that's what I'm talking about. 2 years of her opponent campaigning and doing the right thing and getting the word out. So, I don't know, $1 million in lies and bad ad campaigns can get pushed out onto Roku and TV. Actually, I have all the data of what she did last time, because I do that type of stuff in my spare time, and I saw her. I have her game plan, but anyway, So she doesn't, in the last week before all these idiots go and vote based on a name. 2 years need to get the other person's name out there and make sure that she doesn't get reelected.
Yeah. So if somebody was going to run, they should be out there now, starting doing talk shows and interviews and going to rallies and court watching and doing all that kind of stuff. Whatever they want, they should be out there doing that now, because she has too much money to do it the normal way.
Oh yeah, lots of money.
Taylor Mondick was a great example. I mean, that dude was out busting he probably walked his entire district that he was running for. But he had to do that because he's going up against someone who was a challenge, but he also didn't have support. But that's what we're saying when people say, "What can we do?" It's like, don't plan on next session today. You need to start, as soon as they're done, give them about a 3-month breather and then start calling them and making appointments, because nobody else wants to talk to them right now.
Yeah.
After that, because they don't, and that's how you get in and do it over and over and over, because no one's buying. But 3 months out from session, they are booked solid.
Yep. Yeah. Chestnut checkers. I know, Ed. Final thoughts.
Well, just appreciate you having us on. It's I guess it's nice to have a video format to kind of talk about Tarrant County Family Court specifically.
Yeah, you are handsome. It must be nice to look at yourself.
I'm just staring at myself the whole time, just googly-eyed. So that's why you guys can just drop out of the combo, and I'll just stay here for a few minutes, talking to myself. Talk to myself, but yeah, thank you. All right, that's better. All right. Now it's getting kind of weird. Now it's getting kind of weird for a second, but Tarrant County's.
You're like, finally, I got these losers off.
My moment of zen.
It's here.
I think Tarrant County is just it never ceases to
Dumpster fire.
surprise me. So let's just keep talking about these judges. And if you have us on in a month, I guarantee you we'll have all new stories.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I would just say for the folks that are out there, I mean, share this content. I mean, God, I wanted to kind of slip away quietly, but the reason I said I'm done is after a decade of money.
Dia's
and
already
time.
shared it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yay, we love Dia.
Yeah. After a decade and the lackluster, I mean, performance. I mean, when I spend 5.5 hours preparing and doing stuff and it gets 20 views, it doesn't make sense to keep doing it, or all the different things that happen. And it got to a kind of a mental / and I've been talking about it for a while, but if people share this stuff and get more people involved and you see that momentum, I definitely could reconsider. I have no problem. My heart's in it. I want to help, but again, when I spend the amount of money and time that I've spent and the returns that I got, it was a losing proposition. I guess we're going to just totally jump into it here, but it didn't make any sense. And then there were a lot of times where it was an expected, you need to do this, or I'd have people telling me to show up here or build a website this or record this, or and I'm like, I don't work for anybody. And then when I would do certain things and I would get 5 people to show up, or no one shows up, or it got to that, what am I doing? I need to take care of my health. And again, I got my own issues just like everybody else does. I've got health issues and I got my family and all that stuff, and I'm like, it was the law of diminishing returns for me. But if I see people starting to do stuff, I mean, just to really just put it out there. And in the video, I captured all of the information in that last video I made on the website and the YouTube channel. My website was it's the best one that's out there. And not bragging, it's just as far as this type of content, it was getting 10, 20 views a day. And it just, like, why am I spending that to maintain that website's about $1,000 a year? Why would it's like, why would I spend $1,000 a year to for 10 people to look at it and still not look at the information? It just got to that, what am I doing kind of thing. I don't want to turn this all into all about me, but
no,
that was
all right.
it.
I think this stuff goes in waves. I mean, I think we're in the beginning of a really big wave that I hope washes everything up.
Yeah,
washes over everything. But
not to put
but there have been others. There have been others in the past, and so.
Well, and one of the good things is that as it grows, because it has grown, right? Say I wasn't even involved in this stuff 8 years ago because I wasn't worried about it, right? It wasn't even on my radar. I knew how effed up our courts were with regard to kids,
right,
and all that, but all this rest this wasn't on my radar. But I would suspect that today is much more busy than 8 years ago. And then you have, shout out to Yan, people like that come in with so much energy that I literally have to put on a radioactive suit to be in the room with them because they've got so much energy. You see what I'm saying? And so when you have those, and then the Scott Wedges, and they come in, what can I do? And they actually really go to all these meetings and I don't know if you can find a Republican stumping in Tarrant County that Arnold Yan is not in the picture somewhere. Seriously. I mean, and Scott Wedges, and that's the thing is they're working the heck out of these political sides, and when they burn out, hopefully they'll have 2 people to replace each one of them. And that's kind of what I'm saying, because I had to take about the past 3 months and just really chill. I haven't been on social media. I haven't been doing anything because up here, because I knew what was about to happen to me, and I had to prep for that, and I had to focus on that, and I had to get all that stuff ready to drop so I didn't miss deadlines. Right. I literally couldn't do anything else. I wasn't even taking people's phone calls. And there's a lot of people who are probably watching this tried to reach out to me, and I haven't got back to you. And it's not because I don't want to and I don't care. It's literally, I can't. I don't have the time in the day, and I don't have the emotional capacity currently to take your stuff on and my stuff. So I have to stop and do what I can do effectively in this thing. And then, once we get a little breathing room, I'm going to emerge like a butterfly, and then we're going to have my coming out tour. So, but I'm in my cocoon right now.
See, mine was different because, the SB 590, all the retroactive child support bills, which was going to be horrible, I hit that hard for, about 7 months. I was talking about this, I was talking about this stuff for years, and then I think it was January, I was hitting it, and the first big "Are you kidding me?" was when I was like, guys, you've got to, here's the link. I spoon-fed everybody. This is how you can, at least have your comments heard. You don't have to drive down there. Here's a link. Here's how you do it. I almost wrote. Well, actually, I did write the bullet points for everybody, and one person did it, and you're looking at them. That sends me a message that nobody gives a shit.
Well, I don't think it's that nobody gives a shit. I think so. When I was a kid, and we didn't have all this garbage, and for our soccer uniforms, we would have to go. And I lived way out in Corinth and Lake Dallas back before there was a mall in Denton, so it wasn't like neighborhoods. It was like miles between homes sometimes.
Yeah.
We would have to walk around and sell fertilizer or light bulbs, deliver them 6 months later to buy soccer uniforms. So in that space, people had time. People would fill out and write letters and do stuff like that. Today, if you have a TikTok video that's longer than 15 seconds, you like decrease your views by 50% because people, it's literally people are looking for and they're watching TV shows with their phone up and they're scrolling because they have lost. We as a generation have lost the attention to be able to watch a TV. Back in my day, we used to have these things called commercials that would last for 2 or 3 minutes.
I'm
you
50.
Couldn't skip them, and you couldn't skip them. I'm talking to those people like Eddie.
To Ed, the young kids. Okay, gotcha.
But that's the thing is we live in a society now that people will literally watch 2 or 3 things at the same time while not watching any of it. So when you ask them to do this stuff, and they're like, yeah, and they put it on their desk, it's gone. And that's the thing. And I think it's that way with almost everything. Think of all the people that do not unenroll from Netflix or whatever subscription app they got, the billions of dollars that are generated because people are too lazy to take 15 seconds and go into their apps and find it and unsubscribe. And that's where we've gotten is that, well, somebody else will do it. I don't have time. And it's
29 million Texans. I did the math. 29 million Texans. One person did.
Well, and that's why when people talk about it, and I say, go to these political groups. Well, I don't like it, but these are the people who send the emails and write the letters that you want sent in written.
Right.
These are the ones who are active in the primaries and volunteering at the polls and going door to door and handing stuff out. They'll do your stuff if you get them bought into it. But Facebook and a lot of this other stuff, it's good to get the word out, but I don't know, out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of parents that I've met over the years in this thing, it's probably less than 20 that I know that are really out there out doing it.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm a data guy, so I see where you're going. But I did the video where Brandon smoked that one judge. The TikTok video I made. That thing got over 1 million videos. Yeah. That thing got over 1 million videos, but the same length one that provided data that showed that nationally 93% of custodial parents are mothers. That data, 10 views. That's what I've wrestled with on a daily basis, where then I ultimately decide I've got to walk away from it.
Get you the old Heather Locklear. You remember the pink bikini where she's got her thumb in it and she's pulling it up, and you can see the whole moose knuckle thing there. Oh, yeah. That was my favorite poster as a kid. So get that as a thumbnail and just let it sit there and
I did that
3D rotation while you read in the background what's going on.
I did that. I did I call them the shake and titty videos. Those got huge responses from the exact same people that would give me a second on anything else. And then they got mad at the very end when I did something funny to show them that they're, you'd rather watch a shake and titty video than fight for your kids. Because that's what it boils down to. and they would, of course, get mad at me. But those videos, yeah, the shake and titty videos, those would get massive responses. The data ones, nothing. And it just, again, it just got so overwhelmingly like what I'm doing makes it serves no purpose, that I just went, you know what, it's time to shut it down and go play VR or do something else. That was the decision I had to come to. And yeah, I mean, if something were to change where all of a sudden people got interested, and I say, yeah, and everyone's like, well, I'm interested. Yeah, the 20 people that are interested. I guess I'm gonna just be real out here. But the 20 people again, because again, I have I have the data. So everyone going, well, we didn't. No. I have the data behind it that shows exactly who got it, who did, what they did, click through rates, all of that information. So I know what's going on, and people just simply aren't interested. And again, that's why I said, you know what, I'm done. Me spending 5 hours painstakingly researching a video, making it funny and entertaining, and then it's still not getting any likes because a shake and titty video gets 1 million views. I'm like, there's just, no, I can't do it. And I know we went way off track here. And if anyone ever wondered,
people are probably sitting around going, what the hell are they talking about? I tuned in for the amazing Eddie Brown and some family sports stuff, and I'm talking about Heather Locklear's moose knuckles and her shaking titties. I don't know what this is.
I think Ed, you're muted. I think. No, you're not. But yeah, I mean, for everyone, yeah, I had been in the equal shared parenting movement for actually a decade. I've actually been on the other side of it for years now. I have 100% custody of my children. I get paid child support in Tarrant County. I'm the weird whatever. I'm not the loser Eddie Brown. But I take my shot there. Brooks did it. I get to do it too. Damn it. And I've got a background in technology and video and all that. And I'm like, I'll make videos and a website that has all this information. And all I would get was people bitching. God, I'm really going south here. This is like, I guess, venting for me. People bitching that like this, I didn't have their state updated because I don't know. Well, I would say, do y'all know that on my website you could click on this? I had a picture of the country, just the United States. Someone bitched I didn't have Canada and Australia in it, but you could click on the state and find all the information you would normally find for Texas relevant to your state. So. Equal shared parenting laws, child support. I had RSS feeds that anytime New York had a bill about child support, it would go to this feed, stuff like that. I was getting 10 clicks a day, and then people bitching that I wasn't getting to their state quick enough. I kid you not. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, why am I spending 12, 14 hours a day doing this for a bunch of ungrateful shitheads? To be perfectly blunt, I was like, why am I doing this? I would have people texting me, you need to do this, you need to do that. How about you need to kiss my ass? That's what I got to. Whew, I feel better now.
You feeling better? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. This is like therapy for me.
Yeah, get you something a little later. Get you some, maybe something warm milk or something and some sweets, and then sit in bed and overeat, and then you'll have completely gone through the whole process. I would have, yeah. Well,
I got some little Debbie's downstairs waiting on me.
That's actually what I was thinking of. Yeah,
I'm gonna love those Swiss rolls, but it just, I just looked at it, and again, I'm being myself on this, but it just got to that diminishing returns. I was spending $3,000-$4,000 a year on all the stuff, the software and all that stuff, trying to provide information that nobody was watching. And if no one's watching it, it's kind of like bear shits in the wood. Did the bear actually shit? Kind of thing. It made no sense. And what's funnier is after I decided, I made the last video. I put a thing on my website explaining what I did. It took like a week or so for anyone to go, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm just like, okay, that's all. That was more than enough. I'm good. But yeah, and I'm 50 years old. I know I'm a weird one because I have a technical background in video and all that stuff. But I get pissed off. I'm like, where are these young kids at? The TikTok generation. that can pick up a phone and do a billion things. Why aren't they making videos? Why aren't they doing the chat GPTs and doing all the research? Because they should do that. No, they're looking at shaking titty videos.
Well, because it hadn't happened to them.
Well, that's another thing that let's get it. These are God.
And the family court system is very good at repackaging the child abuse they do and passing it off as normal.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them come out from broken homes and they'll tell you all day long that they're screwed up because of their parents' divorce.
Uh-huh.
But it's the best thing that could have happened was them getting divorced.
Oh yeah.
But they've been sold that one thing, but they know that, you see what I'm saying? Well, no, but it was better. Well, no, explain that. And that's the thing is, we've literally been sold a crap sandwich and told that it's liverwurst, you know?
Oh yeah.
And everybody's just go, it's liverwurst. It's liverwurst. No, it's great.
Oh, I get it.
And that's the thing is, until they get married and it happens to them, and then again, typically it'll be the male that gets the brunt of it.
Right.
They're going to be so devastated for years. They're just going to get a job, try to make it, and move on with their life and maybe start another family. And that's literally, in my case, I have nothing.
Right.
You know, there used to be a time I made a lot of money doing what I do.
Yeah.
But I have nothing. And I'm not going to say everything out loud, but there's a reason that I have absolutely nothing to lose. If I had been amazingly blessed by God and some miracle had happened and I was making, 200 grand a year or something, I would probably be a whole lot more tempted to just go along to get along and see my kid. Maybe when he's 18, he'll remember who I am, but I've got a life and I've got nice cars and I've got stuff. I have nothing.
Right.
I have nothing intentionally because I don't have anything to go to. Like if all this ended tomorrow, there's nowhere for me to go and be done.
Right.
I've made it so that this is the only thing in my life that I have. This and my son. There is nothing. There's no job. There's no property. There's no assets. There's nothing. So it's either I'm going to fix that problem or I'm not, but I'm never going to stop because there is nothing else in my life. And that's what I really don't think that they understand about me. I intentionally made myself a man with absolutely nothing to lose so that I could not back out of the thing I know I need to do. I have nowhere to go.
Right.
I'm the guy standing on the burning Navy ship saying, I got to put it out or die because there's nowhere to go. And so that's how I'm operating.
Yeah.
I understand other people. Yeah. Because, but I did this because I know what I need to make myself to do this thing. And so, I have nothing other than this thing. And that's why I won't quit. That's why I laugh when they come like, oh, we'll lock you up in jail. And I don't hide it, but I'm like,
drop the soap.
I've been, I've been to prison. I was an ex-con before I had a 10th grade education. I dropped out of school when I was in 9th grade. I went to the Navy. I left the Navy. I went to prison. I mean, there's nothing that you can do. Locking me up, all I will do is teach them how to make a better spread, a better shank, and to write a federal lawsuit. I'm not scared by what they're trying to do, but I put myself in a position so there's nothing else they can take from me. There's literally nothing you can do that I'm worried about. And I devote all my time and my energy to destroying your area of business. I want it gone. That's all I'm going to do. And so, that's why I said if June 24th, I still have a warrant, I will literally send out certified mail letters and telling them all I will be there, and I will challenge them to arrest me on an illegal warrant in violation of federal law in front of politicians, the media, and everyone else. I'll be there because I don't care.
Yeah, See, I've been out of it for almost half a decade now, and I was like, I'm trying to make it better for everybody else, but as time went on, and then I'm getting calls. Somebody called me at just after midnight twice. Won't say his name, but calls me at midnight. And if the person's watching, I'm a freaking old man. I'm lucky to be able to go to bed and not piss myself anymore. Don't wake me up at midnight. I mean, and I say that a little tongue in cheek. I mean, it actually happened. And I get calls all the time for me to take people's cases on and fly out on my own dime to read their gobbledygook messages. It just got to that. What the hell am I doing? That's just where I got. I mean, it sounds like you're all in and all that. I mean, I don't. Ed, you're like, oh boy, these guys are going weird on me.
me and Ed are about to do some blood finger brother stuff, and we're going to make a pact, and I'm going to teach him how to. If you add, actually, I don't think I should need to talk about adding detergent to gasoline to make the Molotov stickier, do I? Will that get us in trouble? So, but anyway, I can teach you a lot of stuff, Ed. There's all kinds of stuff in his head you wouldn't expect.
Well, I don't know.
We're all by next week. 100% of this panel is going to have a warrant. That's all.
I think, I'm trying to find my sound thing for the FBI. Where's that one at? My screen froze over here. It's been so long since I've used it. But I don't know, Ed. What are you thinking? I mean, what keeps you going? Well, apparently he's going to do it in interpretive dance. I think he's on mute. Nope, you're on mute. Can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. You're on mute. Your thing's red too. All right, we're going to come back to Ed because you're still on mute. Can't hear you. Try either bop out, bop back in. I don't know. Yeah, I guess the whole getting real time. I just did this for like so long, and I mean, calls at midnight, people wanting me to read their just completely asinine documents, and flying out and doing the like pro bono work to the next level, and just expecting me to do it. Those things, or building websites for free on a drop of a dime. Boy, I'm sure people's ears are burning. At least some people's are. But building a website and or making videos and doing which I try to do, but I would try to explain like, hey, no one watches these videos, so there's no point. If they got shared, it would educate people, but no one did anything with the stuff I made. So, I mean, really, I've just stopped doing what no one pays attention to. I don't know if that makes sense.
No. Sometimes I feel the same way. Sometimes I'll go somewhere and whether whatever, or just I'm there and me and 6 people.
Yeah.
But I'm cool with that because again, those 6 people are the people who are working the primary stuff and doing all the political stuff and telling all their friends who don't watch the news how to vote and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But no, it can get frustrating, and I have people ask me stuff all the time, and I'm like, I simply can't. If I could, I would. Like if I won the lotto, and I would own the family law industry. I would take all of that money into doing nothing but systematically destroying it. But I don't have the lotto, and there's just one of me. And I don't, that's
I just wish there was more support. I mean, financially, people helping you out, and just to throw it out there. I mean, I made it a point over the decade that I've done this that I've never accepted a dime, and never asked for a dime, and it's not to say anyone that did is wrong or whatever. Those people know who they are if they did the wrong thing with those funds. But I wanted to be able to say, well, start it and stop it if I wanted to, or go in whatever direction I wanted to, and I was able to do that because I always find a cheap, free solution and stuff. But I don't know, it's just having the support of people, knowing that you're not in this alone. And actually, I think Yoka here kind of describes my sentiments. You can't save stupidity. That's why I kind of changed what I said around to people get what they deserve, because our local race here for the DA and stuff like that. I got to that point where I'm just like, you people are just like going to destroy yourselves, and you're okay with it. I'm not going to get in the way anymore. I can only educate people so much. I mean, I don't know how many times if you've ever been to my website. I mean, it has all of the information for the country. Let's just pick on Texas. 29 million Texans. It's been sliced and diced a billion different ways. And when I'm getting 10 hits on it per day, it just tells me that no one gives a shit. I mean, to put it bluntly. And it just got to that, why the hell am I doing it? That's the tough part. And I mean, in order to sway enough voters to vote for not Stephanie Click, let's just say this go around in Tarrant County, I've got to convince, a couple 100,000 people to vote a certain way. And we've all seen how that works. People don't. They're stupid.
No, but with even all the chaos at the end of this session, I think actually works very well for us. Infighting at the top, and pretty much everybody at the top at some point has put the kibosh on reforming this dumpster fire that we call family law. But if they're infighting, they don't have the energy to, it's just the players just make it beautiful. For those who don't know, that Paxton's asking for the Speaker of the House to resign. The Speaker of the House is now calling for impeachment of Paxton.
Right.
Dan Patrick and Abbott are strangely quiet. But those represent the forces that we kind of need to overcome to really get change.
Right.
And so if they're fighting amongst themselves, who knows? There's always maybe there's an outside chance that someone, maybe Dan Patrick decides, this is the year I'm going to go, and nuts up and says, this family law thing does need to be addressed. I'm going to make that my platform. Holy hell, he'd separate himself from all the rest. But when my enemies are fighting, it's good for me.
Right.
And there's some things I agree with Paxton on. There's some things I don't. And the fact that he's the Attorney General and he runs a frickin' basically a mafia extortion operation, I have a problem with that. So I'll call him out on that. And I've talked to him to his face about this. We've talked. We've had this conversation. I don't candy code it because I don't have that Eddie Brown skill set. I don't have that verbose
we all can't
wordage. Yeah, my lexicon
is
not large enough to And so, but that's the thing is I believe that chaos is the way to do this. The more chaos in Tarrant County, the more likely someone is going to do something that they get caught for. The more likely someone's going to toss their buddy under the bus to save their own butt. And the same thing happens in our politics. If we've got those groups fighting up there, that makes it better for us because now it's going to be easier to sell our stuff to their troops who are trying to differentiate themselves from the Phelan followers or the Paxton followers, or we'll take on your because they're not all in the same team of screw the world. We'll just do what we want because we're all making money because now they hate each other. So I'm happy about it in a Schadenfreude kind of way. That's a German term that means taking pleasure from another's pain.
Right. Ed, I know you missed quite a bit of that. I don't know if you can.
We were talking about you the whole time.
Yeah, we did. Thank God he was. We were admiring ourselves.
So I had an interesting moment. I was listening to KERA, and I learned something about why I was arrested, tied to my family court case. And so, Dwayne, you asked me why am I interested in this topic? And actually, a better answer, I should have just got straight to it. Both my kids, I've had to fight to see them, and I've had both my exes go to great lengths. So I've seen the ugly side of the system and how people can use the system. So when I was driving listening to the radio, and basically I found out through this news story that you can have an emergency protective order issued on someone while they're in jail, right?
Yep.
And so then I thought back, I didn't know that until that moment. And then my mind flashes back to me reading Brady material where the district attorney's office writes down that Lindsay wanted to have an emergency protective order placed against me. I was in jail at that moment because she called the sheriffs to report me. And the reason I was in trouble is because I'd missed my first hearing. So I was new at this being charged with criminal whatever. And I missed my hearing. And so there was a bench warrant issued for me. And so Chelsea was on my social media. Sorry, that's my ex-wife. My ex-girlfriend, different person, saw that I was having this photography show. I was hosting an event where I was putting up photos I had taken of riders, and I had invited a lot of friends and my family. And in the middle of that event, they came in and arrested me. And it was so super embarrassing, right? But And I didn't even know why I was being arrested. I just like, oh, I knew it was probably tied to my ex-girlfriend. But it was only listen to the KER place. I was like, oh, that's why she was trying to she wanted to get me in jail so that while I'm in jail, she can have this protect, like and she was advised by this really big shot, Benson Vargas, attorney, and that's in the Brady material. So like, basically that says, if you understand the system and you want to use the system, if you're an attorney or whatever, like you have all these different ways to do it. And I was like that was so conniving of her to do that. But yeah, so I've had a no contact order. I know what false charges are like. I've experienced false allegations, I should say, from both sides. I've had to listen to testimony from the mother of my daughters saying that I'm molesting my daughter. I've had to do a psych eval, like all the things that I get to talk about with family courts and report on. I've actually experienced it. So I'm just kind of a true believer in that sense. And if I hadn't been put in this situation, which is not nearly as bad as most parents, because at least I get to see my kids, but I have a taste of every little thing because they've all tried to do this to me. So I think that's what that kind of makes me kind of just work really hard, because I know what it means for dads to get screwed over. All of these things are things that I have seen, and if I haven't experienced it, I've seen it, or by this point I've talked to someone who's gone through it. So I can't turn away once you see that system. You can't unsee it. It's just like ugh. So
it's a shared trauma that we've all experienced in one way or another. Speak bluntly, my issue was just the overwhelming apathy that people would have on these issues, both from people that one experienced it, and then two, the ones that haven't experienced it. I would get it from the most I would get was that sucks. Like I wasn't like a one-trick pony where every conversation talked about these topics, but I would find ways to insert things in conversations, either if I knew the person for a while or I just met them or whatever. And it's easy to talk with people. You can do those things, but seeing people, you would talk to them about stuff and they go, "Oh wow, I've been through that," and it's like, well, you ought to get involved or do something. Nope, there's zero desire. And it's just after getting that message told to me time and time again, I was just like, I guess nobody really cares. And when I say nobody, the 28.9999 million Texans, well, actually, we would say it's nation or worldwide, actually, because I've talked to people in other countries as well. But being told time and time again, they just don't care. It just got to that, okay, all right. I've inoculated my kids to where they know, what's going on and how this all works. And I'm like, I there's only so much I'm able to do. People don't want to get involved, and it really ticks me off. I mean, go back to the SB 590, the retro bill. That was going to be a horrible bill for dads in Texas. Horrible. One person out of 29 million wrote in, and I think 5 people, the normal circle jerks that always show up down in Austin, they did their thing, but the other 29-ish million Texans couldn't be bothered.
Yeah, I couldn't go to that you
couldn't. But you could have submitted. You could have said this is a bad bill or something.
Actually, I emailed about a 4-page brief research overview into why it was a horrendous bill and how it would be abused and used in courts, and I think that got sent to a couple dozen legislators.
Right.
So I did it a little different.
I wrote a story on it, so I did something.
There you go.
And again,
we wrote people were trying. People were trying.
That video, that one that live had a couple hundred views. And that's another thing too. It's God, I'm gonna really just pull back the thing. Again, I have all the data behind the scenes, and I remember when I did the Indiana one, because I was gonna highlight how Indiana already passed the retro bill, and to try to teach people. People logged in, and then as soon as they found out it wasn't about them, personally, again, let's just be real here. When it's not about them, they deuce out of there. The viewership went down to 0. I was talking to myself for like 30 minutes. And then what was funny is like a month or two later, I was doing another live and I was talking about the Indiana bill, and people were asking, "Oh, can you tell us more about it?" I'm like, "No, you had your shot, a month ago when I had all the data, and the video's out there. I put the link in there. Didn't matter." And that's just that I spent so much time putting information together to provide for free to people, and they couldn't be bothered to consume it.
So my suggestion is, so there's a bunch of streamers like Coconut Bee and some others, and they play Rust or other games.
Yeah, people have told me to do that.
So now if you can just figure out a way to take that kind of entertaining comment, or maybe you could just show, video gameplay in the background while you're walking us through this with a. But yeah,
crazy.
I mean, people will spend 10 hours searching on YouTube on how to glitch their base so no one can raid it while they're offline.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing is pulling that emotional thing. But the difference is that most people in our situation that use video games and stuff, they use it not to think about the other stuff. And what you're doing is saying, I need you to think about it really deeply when you read this. And a lot of people, just trauma-wise, aren't even going to go there. Right. They're not even gonna drive by the courthouse. Every time I drive downtown, I get a feeling that I want to do something, just because that whole area has a bad connotation. But yeah, a lot of people are just looking for distraction because they don't want to think about it, because it's difficult or impossible for some.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned video games, and again, I think the newest game I play is Call of Duty, but I did Quake 2, Doom, and stuff like that, and 5 views, 7 views, 1 view, 5 views. I mean, that's just 4 views. I mean, that's just it's just that overwhelming. People just don't care. Actually, let me see if I can get into my studio here.
I have to say, maybe the medium, I don't know, matters more, because family court stories, from the vantage point of our publication, are always popular.
Yeah.
This story on Becca that briefly mentions Brooks, I just checked. I mean, we're a print publication, so I always say that's our primary way to reach people. But online click-through reads is over 4,000. So, I mean, people, on Instagram, when we shared her story on Instagram, 15,000 impressions, 60 comments. I mean, so I don't know what it was about that story as opposed to, what you're doing, but a lot of people have really strong opinions about family court stuff. And
what's funny, I'm actually in my studio, and I made all my stuff private, and I didn't delete it, but I have a video here of a kid shaving his head. It's a funny little video I put on here. Had 2,100 views.
Oh, wow.
I mean, and I can show you some of my TikTok stuff, similar stuff there. I've had over 1 million views on the goofy stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's where I get into that whole, there's something going on. I mean, same audiences, same whatever. And I tell people, and it's not a hard formula, that if you share the content, it tells the specific social media, oh, hey, people are interested. I'm going to show it to more people, i.e. someone shaving, kids shaving their head. That got out there. I have one, here's a courtroom beatdown. I only got 37. But, most of my stuff that I spend, 5+ hours putting together gets just no traction. I should find the one where the shaking booby one was going off, and you can the numbers are just, it's ridiculous. I thought it was a I thought something weird happened. Nope.
All right. I'm just throwing this out there.
Uh-huh.
I got to powder my nose.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
I'm gonna go here in a second.
Tell you what, let's.
I've been holding it for like 20 minutes. I'm like, we got to be wrapping this up at some point.
We're old.
Right?
Yeah, we're old here. I get it. At least some of us are old.
Well, I have a cup, but it's not my cup. So
is that lemonade? All right. Well, guys, thanks so much. Anything we talked about?
Yeah.
The Texas Judicial for Accountability. Go there, check it out, donate to it. There's stuff coming up.
June will be an amazing event to be at if I still have a warrant. I guarantee you it will be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really exciting if Brooks shows up with his warrant and invites
everybody.
Phil Sorrells to come arrest him personally.
I want to hang out with Phil because he went on what's his name show that one time and tried to talk some smack, and then I made a video. Yeah, Larry. I showed the data that showed he was full of shit on his.
He's full of. I shouldn't say this, but he's full of shit on a lot of things.
Well, I thought you were going to bring up when they were doing the the judge was saying he was there but he wasn't. Well, we all know what Phil's last court case.
Yeah.
He basically said the person that was there in the room was not there. The guy smartly went and had the courts do a affidavit or whatever. He was there.
Affidavit.
And then, of course, nothing ever happened. Well, last I heard. But, yeah.
So that was his last case. I think he
last case.
Yeah, that was his last case. So.
And you idiots voted him in. Oh, anyway.
Well, but see, that's the thing. No one hears this stuff. And it's just that all the establishment wants Phil Sorrells in there, so that's the only name that you hear. And if you left Tiffany Burke, then we're all going to be cutting our penises off and doing weird.
Tiffany's
no, but that's
she voted Republican.
I know, but that's the thing. So. That's the message that you're going to hear about and it's just, and even the people I know who are very entrenched in the politics in Tarrant County, I don't know one of them that's their preference for a Republican to be in that office. That's their preference because he has an R, but they just don't like the man in general. They don't trust him and they don't like him. And so he didn't get elected because he's likable. He got elected because he has an R and they dumped a bunch of money into his campaign. That was it.
Yeah. That was definitely it.
Yeah, nobody that I know really likes him. They'll buddy with him because he's, somebody you need to buddy. But no one I know actually has anything to say about like, oh yeah, well, it's everybody's like, don't trust him as far as I could throw him.
I've talked to a lot of people who know him, and I'm yet to hear anyone say anything.
That's what I'm saying.
I talked to his daughter on in my garage. I had it recorded because I have cameras everywhere. FBI, be aware of that. But where she tried to blow smoke up my ass, I have it all recorded. Try to get that information out there. No one cared. Anyway. I could talk all night about that. I know that Brooks has got to go to the Tinkletorium. All right, closing. Ed, anything? Any parting comments? Thoughts?
Show up to the fundraiser. I am really optimistic about the people who are involved in what we're talking about, and I do think it's going to end either with us all in jail or we're going to win. So, they've made too many enemies. So, all right,
guys. Brooks, anything?
No. Just there's a lot of stuff moving in different places that are all going in the right direction that I don't think has ever happened before. Yeah. Some of those I can't talk about out loud. Right. They'll be announced at some point and everybody's going to go, oh my God, I can't. But there's a bunch of stuff on a bunch of levels, on a bunch of different planes, all shifting in a direction. And so I think that this may be the best time ever with the chaos and everything else to actually get something to happen. Because I do believe that they're going to start sacrificing judges probably within the next 2 years, probably before next session. So they'll have an argument that they don't need to change the Constitution or the Texas amend the Constitution. So my guess is they will start tossing a few judges under the bus to say, oh no, look, we've locked up more in the past year than we ever have. And my argument is going to be that's the reason we need the amendment to the Constitution. Because, but yeah, they know something's coming. So, All right. That's it. That's all I got. And buy more ammo.
Oh, no, I would never do that or have my own ammo making machines. Anyway, this is the Pissed Off Parent signing off. If you want to see more of this content, share, subscribe, show me something. I have all the
All
data.
10 of
so-
you. All 10
all
of you.
10 of you, yes. Share and like this stuff.
Share it
Tell me
twice.
that I'm loved. Yeah, get some fake accounts and yeah, show me I'm loved here. And yeah, if I see the
Make sure the picture on the account's an 18-year-old gorgeous Filipino or some Asian,
whatever you're into,
and then says that we don't know each other, we're not friends, but you keep coming up as someone will you please friend me? And just
do it.
because I love those because it makes me feel needed.
All right,
Very
guys.
specific.
Y'all have a good one.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye, guys. Appreciate it.
Matter the cost.
You got the touch. You got the power.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.